All right. Welcome along, YouTube. We are going to get started with 3 class calls in a row again today. It's the 3rd day in a row I've done this. So Friday, we covered what? I can't even remember anymore. Anyway, we've done 6. We've got 3 more coming up. Today we've got Warrior, Warlock, and Rogue in that order. We'll be about an hour each on that. So, if you're here watching the VOD and you want to watch a particular class, look around, skip forward in time around about those times to find what you're looking for. Now, let's get the link going so that I can send that out to my Discord. Guys, you've obviously watched the VODs, like you've seen me posting a notification to a Discord all the time, and you can see me conducting these town hall discussions in a Discord. If you want to join that, the link is in the details just below, I'm pretty sure. Come one, come all, come chat, sod with us. The only rule is no dickheads, and that's about it. We'd love to have you. So here we go. There's the link I'm looking for. Town hall discussions in a Discord. You don't need that echo. Okay. And let's get my Discord in here. Very good. There's a spicy thumbnail for Arcos there. And we will get started. Okay, very good. Here we go. All right, it's time for class call numero 7, I believe. And this is the one that will be nearest and dearest to my heart because, I'm 99% sure this is the class I'll be maining throughout Season of Discovery, pending things that we discover throughout time with the server. If it comes to pass that Shaman are the greatest thing since sliced bread, I may make a, conversion over in that direction. But for now, I fell in love with them through hardcore when I played one for the first time, and I'm really, really keen to continue my learning and experience with this class. It's Warriors. I'm very, very pumped to be part of Team Warrior that every man and his dog was part of through Classic that I shunned, but now I'm on board maybe when other people are leaving. So it's a great time to get on board when maybe Warrior stocks are going down. But we'll talk about why they should maybe be going up through this call. Let me introduce our guests. We have the following amazing people. Arcos, my friend, welcome back. How are you, brother?
Hey, I'm really good. Thanks for having me back on.
Good to have you, mate. And he's joined by Snacks. Mate, what's going on?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, boys. Let's we got the brown boys in here. Let's do this. Although Arcos, I didn't really know you were much of a brown boy enthusiast, yet here you are.
Yeah, I played Warrior back in actual vanilla, even though I was a complete minus 500 IQ idiot. Took me 5 months to level to 60 because someone lied to me that if you wanted to be a hero, you should be a prot. So I leveled to level 40 as prot. Then I saw the light, played Warrior in all of vanilla TBC into Wrath, actually old school Wrath. Played a main Warrior in Classic 2019-2020 into TBC. Played Warrior all of TBC again.
So but it didn't touch one in Classic.
Sorry, I mained the Warrior in Classic, yeah.
Oh, in Classic too. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
I ranked in 2020 on Warrior, which is something I didn't do, of course, in vanilla. But yeah, I've logged the most hours on Warrior for sure.
Fair enough.
I only rerolled in Wrath because we knew Warrior would be kind of shit all the way until ICC.
All right, you're such a fucking flavor of the month, bitch. All right, here we go. Let's get into this, boys. I'm going to start with the same question I've asked all of the other classes, and I want you to give me your most hype man answer that you can, unless you don't have hype, in which case you don't have to feign it, but we'll try and drum up a bit of excitement. It's funny because I asked the mages this question yesterday and I was like, how much fun are you gonna have with mage in World of Warcraft Season of Discovery? And I love both Zoran and Svahada, but they were both like, I mean, it's okay, I guess. So we'll see what the answer is with Warriors. Arcos, tell me, with what we've seen with the runes and everything that's coming up to level 25 with Warrior in Season of Discovery, do you think this class looks fun?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Just adding like Warbringer, I'm so confused. Like most of the rooms, I'm incredibly confused why the runes are actually as good as they are on paper. But I mean, we'll see if they're actually as good as they look.
Very good. We'll dive into it all. Snacks, mate, feel free to tell us all about the general stuff here as to what the magnetic pull towards Warrior is for you in Season of Discovery. Does it look fun? And if so, why?
I mean, I'm kind of torn between Warlock and Warrior, so I can't say I've sold my soul completely. But I mean, I was a Warrior main for all of Classic into TBC, and I mean, it's by far my favorite class. But I really love tanking. I never liked what they did with how Fury Prot was the meta in Classic, so I'm hoping that's gonna change in Season of Discovery. If it's not, then it's probably going to be Warlock for me.
All right. But anything specific, like when you're making that tough choice, that your own Sophie's choice, what is it when you start to think about Warrior that starts to pull you over when you daydream about how fun it could be?
Sorry, could you say again?
You're right. So what specifically, when you're choosing between Warrior and Warlock, what parts of the Warrior make you daydream about it and sell that side of the argument?
I mean, Warrior's always been fun. I mean, it's kind of always been the class fantasy that I resonate most with. Like anytime you can swing around a big weapon, that's kind of goals achieved. But I think the main thing that I'm hoping for is like a little bit more versatility in the Warrior class, that it's not so very meta defined. That I mean that hope that's what Season of Discovery can kind of bring is like a little bit more variety, and it's not like either this build or get out,
Well, let's talk about that maybe extra not so much utility, but extra variety or flavor that Warriors may get through Season of Discovery. Arcos, I'll throw this one over to you. I was having a beer with our mutual man crush Hunk yesterday, Arcos. We went to a fucking dive bar in Brisbane, and I got charged a ridiculous amount of money for a trio of beers between Hunk, myself, and Patricia. So that was fun as I was crying over my debit card as we sipped beers in the sun. But he started talking about Season of Discovery, and this goes without saying, but we're saying it's really fun how they've basically grabbed Wrath in the one hand, grabbed Vanilla in the other, and just smashed them together for this unholy combination of the two that I think looks like a lot of fun. But when we talk about that combination in regards to Warriors, I'm not very well versed with Warrior outside of vanilla. Like I said, I've only played, a vanilla warrior very recently through hardcore. I fucking fell in love with it. But I only very vaguely know of TBC and Wrath Warrior. Is that extra flavor that Snacks has alluded to just there something that will suck me in? Is it like, if you loved Vanilla Warrior, oh my god, are you going to fawn over what's to come, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily, I think, because so many of these runes that we know about now are kind of passive, like more damage or like a proc, more bleed rate.
Right. Well,
there's a couple of them that are active.
You forget, Arcos, you mentioned minus 500 IQ players before. You forgot I'm a fucking idiot, and passives are right up my alley.
Yeah. I mean, you'll do, I think, depending on if they've changed anything in the back end, or how the class actually works in the core, you'll do more damage. So, but if you didn't play it back then you wouldn't really notice the difference, Red. But I think stuff just like Warbringer is going to be really, really nice to have, because one of the really tough things about Warrior is how unsticky you are. Like, you're kind of lathered in Vaseline, so you can't really stick on anything. But with Charge Intercept, and they've added Intervene. I didn't know Intervene was in, but you'll have 3 kind of ways to break CC and stick to your target, which back in the day you kind of had 2 with charge and intercept, and you needed to use a trinket or a free action potion to get out of CC. Now you don't really need to do that. You just use your charge or intercept. So I think people will really like that kind of increased mobility.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that very much so. Like, I mean, like you said, Warbringer, the tooltip very much so gave away the future of intervene there. But like, the only thing that held me back on, I was sort of preparing for if they were to introduce like a fresh vanilla server or even just a iteration of Classic Plus with incredibly minor changes. I was thinking about, God, will I play Warrior? I'm not terribly enthused about Warrior PvP in vanilla when I've never done it before, and I'm not up for a lifetime of being the most kiteable fucking thing around. Warbringer has really, like, it's one... I'm sure there's more players like me out there. It's won me over where I'm like, oh, I'm not just a fucking practice dummy for half the classes in the game. This is something I want to be involved with. So it was huge.
Yeah, like the pain of the warrior in vanilla without changes. So like none of these season of discovery changes in it, is that before, I would say, at least AQ 40 or before rank 14, your gear isn't strong enough to overcome CC. So, for example, if we're just talking about PvP, like 1v1s with a mage or a hunter, it's very hard to stick on the mage or the hunter. And even if you manage to stick a little bit, you kind of need very high damage to break through and like win the 1v1. So, for example, like when I finished ranking at 14 or like a little bit before, it was such a difference in just having such a high health pool and strong damage. This 1v1ing mages was completely new. Like everything just changes when you can auto attack crit for 1700 and you mortal strike crit for 3.5k and the mage is just dead. Like you managed to get that intercept or something after his blink, so you just managed to get 2 hits and he's dead. Like roll back a few weeks or a few months before you have very good gear, that's just impossible. So with Warbringer, like you will be able to break the CC, right? So I'm interested to see how it plays out, because it also maybe it'll be negated by runes that other classes have, right?
Can I ask a quick, and we'll talk more PvP later, but again, I'm going to sound like a fucking noob because I've got all of 3.5 seconds worth of experience on a warrior, but I look at something like Warbringer Arcos, and sorry, Snacks, I will throw it to you in a second. I look at something like Warbringer Arcos, and I see what it does, and I go, this is a weird thing to say, but wouldn't it be more beneficial for me to not charge into battle now, try and get the drop on someone, begin auto-attacking, and hold that charge and that intercept for later so I've got them both up my sleeve in combat in any stance?
It depends what spec you are as well. Like if you have... it depends who you're playing against, what spec you have, what gear you have. Ideally, if you're 1v1ing, for example, mage, if you don't get the initial charge, you're kind of fucked.
Oh, okay.
Like you can't just run up to them. They'll just rank 1 frostbolt you, which is like a 0.9% cast or something. So you're slowed, they're not slowed, they just run away.
I guess I'm saying more in the instance where they haven't seen you coming.
Yeah, I mean, if you come behind them and they are completely blind, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Rather than blow the charge, walk up and start with an auto attack.
Yeah, like you would always want to, if you don't have any raids, then yeah, auto attack, but you would always want to start with a hamstring. But even if you're running up behind them, they could just like Nova you just before you are in melee range to hamstring them, right? And then you're just fucked. Like if the mage gets the drop on you, there's very little you can do about it. Like you can outplay it, it's possible, but they kind of have to throw the duel.
Even with Warbringer?
We don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
With Warbringer, like if I'm just comparing my experience against the maid with none of the runes that they are going to get, then I would say the balance is completely skewed and warriors would own mages. But depending on how their runes that they get and their new abilities that they get some, perhaps they'll negate.
Fair enough. Let me throw this one to you, Snacks. Look, I sort of touched on this lightly in my intro, but I'm actually really glad that I feel like there will be fewer warrior players in Season of Discovery. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be a popular class. But, you know, for instance, that stupid poll that I referenced yesterday, that's the only thing I've got to go by now. But also, you know, the basic totality of online chat in the forums and the subreddit sort of indicates that people seem to be really, I don't want to say distracted, but like enamored with the new classes. Oh, I'm going to be a fucking, you know, Druid gets Wind Fury. I'm going to go with that. Oh, Shaman tank. Oh, tank Warlock. Everyone's sort of gravitating towards that in terms of popularity. Whereas it's not like no one's playing Warrior, but no one's really buzzing about it. So I like playing a class that's not just, you know, the most popular and every fucking Tom, Dick and Harry and Susan is rolling. Do you feel like there will be a slight hit to the Warrior population?
I think so, at least for the first phase, but I'm like, depending on how long the phases are going to be, you don't really know if people, like how many alts people are going to reroll. Like we don't really know what the end game looks like because we don't really know what the runes, like what the changes are going to be like in the late game. So I have a feeling that Warrior is still going to be the strongest class just because the way that Warriors scale with gear. Like it's hard to kind of get around the way that mainly Fury like scales in the later stages of Classic. So unless they kind of fundamentally change that, I think a lot of people will still gravitate towards the class in the end game unless we see some very drastic changes to kind of bring the other classes up to par.
Arcos, I'm so glad you brought that up, Snacks. Arcos, I'll get you to chime in on that point too, because it was actually going to be my next question, so it's perfect timing. You know, I have seen this floated around the traps a little bit, where it's like, look, it's really cute that all these other classes are getting all this new stuff, but the game is literally designed in a certain way that no matter what you do, at the end of the day, Warriors will be top dog. Now, I'm going to throw in the huge caveat one more time. Like Snack said, we know fucking nothing. We've only seen to level 25. We don't know what's coming at max level at end game. They could make fucking shamans just, you know, nuclear cannons. They could make mages the bee's knees. Who knows? But is there something inherent to that warrior scaling and the way in which their particular type of melee combat works, particularly when you bring things like world buffs into the mix, that it would be virtually, I don't know, is it outrageous to say it would be virtually impossible to unseat them?
I think that depends entirely on what other classes get, but and it also depends on if they've made changes behind the scenes. For example, if they've quote unquote fixed heroic strike queuing, then warrior damage is decreased. Like it's a direct nerf to warrior damage. If they've normalized rage, that's a complete disaster for warriors. I didn't play the beta. I wasn't at BlizzCon. I've not consumed a lot of content from that beta, so I have no idea if there's any feeling change to rage generation or if someone tested out heroic strike queuing. But just those two things are unknowns that I don't think we can know at the moment. So just based on those two things, like it could be that this, like, warriors are just going to be trash if they change things like that. Like if they normalize rage generation, it's a complete letdown for warriors, and we're kind of fucked. At least fury warriors, probably tank warriors as well. But yeah. But if they've not changed heroic strike, if they've not changed rage generation, I don't see others catching warriors unless their runes are incredibly broken. Just on the face
I think
of
it's
it.
more that, yeah, like bringing other classes up to par rather than nerfing warrior. At least that's what I hope that they're going for. That it's not necessarily like bringing warriors down so the other ones, like the other classes, feel as good. It's rather like bringing the other classes up. It's kind of the way that I see it, or the kind of way that I hope Season of Discovery is going is kind of the Dota 2 way of balancing things. Is like if everything is broken, then nothing is broken, because it's meant to be seasonal. and I don't think it really matters if the end game is kind of wacky, because it's one season. It's a way to gather data for potentially, a bigger release of Classic Plus.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I don't think their goal necessarily is to get everyone within a certain margin with each other. But just to answer the original question of anyone being able to reach warriors, it entirely depends on changes that they've made or not made behind the scenes that we don't know about yet. I think if we assume that they've made no changes to raid generation and heroic strike, and we just look at the runes that we're getting, I would, in a conservative estimate, believe warriors could do 20 to 25% more damage than they did in Classic. Are they going to buff Feral Druids by 50%, 60%? I'm not sure. So I think it's a kind of impossible to say definitively.
All right. Snacks, of the runes that we've seen, what can you highlight? We've talked about Warbringer a bit already, so let's throw that one aside. Outside of Warbringer, are there a couple of runes there that really rose to the top for you and had you licking your lips as your favorites already?
I mean, Warbringer aside, I think actually maybe Blood Frenzy is a little bit underrated, especially when it comes to leveling. Because if you can kind of bring Rend back into the rotation to kind of be useful again, because at least a lot of the time for leveling, you're so rage starved as a warrior until you kind of kick into gear a little bit later. But I'm curious to see if Blood Frenzy can actually work at least in a leveling build, to see if you can actually maintain a little bit higher rage levels while you're leveling using stuff like Rend. I'm also curious, and this is just, I'm not sure if this has much value, but I'm also a little bit interested in dual wield PvP with single-minded fury because of the movement speed. And I think movement speed is if you can combine single-minded fury with Warbringer, I think it's going to be actually really, really hard to escape from a warrior with the extra movement speed, as well as the Warbringer kind of stickiness that you bring.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to interact. Yeah,
I'm staring at single-minded fury for sure. Go Arcos.
Before we move to another rune, it will also be interesting to see if single-minded fury stacks with boot enchants, speed, and with Sansa speed. Could the warrior go up to 25% movement speed? Could he go up to 20%?
Well, I mean, don't you think they'd have a test subject there in terms of that talent that paladins get? Does that stack with movement speed stuff?
I've not really looked at what Paladin gets, to be honest.
No. I mean, not for Season of Discovery.
He couldn't give what the fuck?
I'm sorry, not for Season of Discovery. Doesn't Rhett have just a talent? I'm just staring at it now. Don't they have Pursuit of Justice? Pursuit of Justice that gives movement speed. So I'm not sure if that stacks or not.
I don't think that's in vanilla, but I don't know if they're
it's in vanilla.
Discovery. Is it?
Yeah. Pursuit of Justice, sitting right there in the. Oh wait, sorry. Whoa. Let me see here. Yeah, Season of Discovery. It's in the vanilla tree. Pursuit of Justice on the right hand side in the third limb of the Retribution tree. So I'm saying we're used to paladins moving a bit quicker in vanilla. So I do wonder if Pursuit of Justice stacks with other movement speed things. I think that would be the indicator of what they must do with Warrior.
Tooltip that it doesn't.
Okay, all right, there you go.
It says this does not stack with other movement speed increasing effects. In the tooltip that I'm looking at, which I have no idea if it's correct or not.
Oh no, and YouTube chat is Steven's confirming YouTube chat it doesn't stack. So that's good to know. What I'm saying, Arcos, is that would kind of be the canary in the mine, that if Pursuit of Justice doesn't stack, then I don't think this Warrior one would.
Yeah, but Pursuit of Justice has it in the tooltip that it doesn't stack.
Right.
But Single-Minded Fury doesn't, so maybe it doesn't. We'll just have to wait and see, right? But I think it would be kind of broken if they gave warriors like Warbringer and Single-Minded Fury and a boot enchant with speed, so that you can like stack things. Like Sansa usually does, I think, stack with other speed increases. I think it's 15%.
Could you imagine a warrior? Could you imagine a warrior running around effectively with aspect of the cheetah?
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and then you have like I'm saying, if you're gonna go a kind of dual wield PvP build, you get piercing howl as well, and then you're pretty much like you're the Terminator. Like there's no escape. You just run them down.
Oh, that's all I've wanted to be.
Yeah.
I just want to be Robert Patrick chasing down the car, 100%. Arcos, are you going to say something?
Exactly.
Nah, just like if you do group PvP on a warrior, you kind of feel like an unstoppable wrecking ball, especially like if you have a paladin with you throwing freedoms and dispels on you, and you have a priest dispelling you. If you have Warbringer and increased movement speed, like effectively a cheetah without the dazed negative, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Arcos, I'm so glad that Snacks mentioned Blood Frenzy. You know, I sitting here chuckling to myself, going like, with Blood Frenzy's tooltip there, do you think that the return of Rend to the vanilla world is like one of the greatest video game comebacks of all time?
I wouldn't say so. I kind of hate Rend. It's annoying, and in vanilla and in classic, the damage from it really wasn't worth. But I think I 100% agree with Snacks. Combining Blood Frenzy and Rend and then going down into deep wounds as fast as you can is probably the play for leveling. If you're getting 6 rage every what's it like 3 seconds, 6 seconds, something like that, I think it will help a lot, because the annoying part of warrior usually is both the downtime after killing a mob, because you don't have any self-healing, and rage starvation. So I think the meta now for leveling will probably be using Rend and auto-attacking instead of using Heroic Strike. You might take Deflection to parry instead of Impulse Heroic Strike.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of improved Heroic Strike. I feel like a weirdo because everyone takes it.
It's very good in endgame, and it's kind of your only damaging ability for a long time while you're leveling. So if you reduce the rage cost of it, it helps, especially when you're rage starved. But in this kind of world where we are capped at level 25, I think if you can get Blood Frenzy early in your leveling journey, I have absolutely no idea how you get this rune, for example. But if you can get it by level 10 and you take Rend and go down to deep wounds, I don't know, you need level 15, level 16 to get your first point of deep wounds. I think you'll just have so much more rage so that you can actually use abilities while killing mobs.
I think maybe if you can get Endless Rage early as well, then like 25% more rage from bleeds also. Like maybe those can combine. Like I don't know if it's gonna help a lot, but
how much damage are you doing at level 10? Like in one hit, like 50, 60? Something like that.
Yeah.
So if rage gain is like not normalized, then you should be getting 2.28 rage points for 70 damage. But if you have Endless Rage, it's 2.85, so it's not incredibly higher than like without, because your damage is just so low. But just on the face of it, like 25% more rage from all damage is
Just to go off on a quick tangent. Yeah. Sorry, you go, Snacks.
No, I was just gonna say, like at least for leveling, I'm not seeing like a lot of them are very useful either. Like anyway, maybe Victory Rush.
Victory Rush,
because you get the heal.
Yeah, I think
it's probably gonna be the play, because Quick Strike doesn't seem all that useful, and like leveling is two-handed is not really optimal, so single-minded Fury kind of goes out as well. Then like obviously you're not gonna level with Devastate, so it's probably gonna be Victory Rush.
Yeah, because like I have a calculator in front of me. Like if you're doing like less than 100 damage in each hit, like the the 25% increase is just such a low number. I think Victory Rush beats it out, but
Probably.
it also depends how difficult it is to get the runes, right? Yeah.
Snacks, let me throw this one in from the crowd on a little bit of a tangent on something that you mentioned with Blood Frenzy. Another contributor to the show, Pixet, asks, is Blood Frenzy the foreshadowing of Taste for Blood, the one that makes Rend proc overpower? Would you guess that's the case, or maybe, not so much?
Is that a later talent? It's not really something I've heard of. Is that from
I think that's from another expansion, isn't it? I don't know. Arcos, do you know where
Which ability, sorry?
Taste for Blood, where that came from?
Like Rend
Wrath.
procs
Everyone's saying
overpower,
it's at Wrath Arms talent.
Yeah, I think it's Wrath, yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I would love for there to be a little bit more variety in your like both your leveling rotation, but also your like end game dungeon and raid rotation. Like if they can actually bring in Rend to be a useful ability, I think it could, help arms actually be viable in PvE as well. Like if you can use, if Rend can proc overpower, then actually leveling as or raiding as two-hand might be viable, or maybe even two-hand Fury if you go down in the Fury tree and then pick up, Rend, Deep Wounds, improved overpower.
I think they've sent the message absolutely that Rend is not going to be taken off your bars at 60 just through the introduction of Blood Frenzy. I would love to see, number one, more reasons to hit Rend. And don't get me wrong, I'd love more opportunities to hit Overpower. I think it's one of the more satisfying procs in the game. But, I really think that the Classic team would have been looking at all the classes and particularly staring at something like Rend and any ability that a class just throws in the fucking garbage when they hit max level. I reckon they would have highlighted them and been like, "Nah, we want to bring these abilities back. They were designed for a reason." Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, at least I hope so. I think it's kind of it's Rend and Slam. That's kind of the ones that you chuck away later. Maybe you keep Rend on your bars just because like you're facing a rogue and with the bleed on, they vanish and they come back out. But that's kind of the only use that you have for Rend in the later stages of the game. And Slam is kind of a non-ability. Or it becomes like for an arms rotation in TBC, like you use a Slam rotation. But I would love for them to bring it back and give a little bit more variety to the later, like late game rotations.
What do you think, Arcos? Do you think that Rend could lead to some overpower interaction with more runes later down the line?
If they want to make it an interesting ability, yeah, for sure. But if they want to, then like Blood Frenzy is useless at 60. Rend is off the bars.
Fair enough.
Like if you look at the other runes, like just Flatulation and Raging Blow are probably going to be much better for PvE than Blood Frenzy.
Too easy.
It's Blood Frenzy seems like the leveling rune, unless they buff it or introduce some sort of like bleed interaction later.
All right, Arcos, I'll throw it over to you, mate. And same question I asked Snacks before. Outside of maybe the ones that we've talked about, are there a couple of runes that really, really stood out to you as things that you couldn't wait to get your hands on?
I'm a little bit confused by Consumed by Rage, because a lot of people seem to be reading into it that you gain 25% melee damage for 12 seconds.
Sorry, mate. Do you mind turning your mic up a little bit more? Thanks, mate.
Sorry. So Consumed by Rage is both exciting and confusing at the same time. Initially, I thought it was it was capped for 12 swings or until you reached 80 rage. So if you would use it at 0 rage, you would hit twice and you would crit both times and gain 80 rage, the effect would wear off. But I'm not entirely sure if that's correct or if it activates once you reach 80 rage. So it's kind of confusing because it kind of depends. If you can keep it for 12 seconds, then it's incredibly powerful. But if you lose it always like 6 seconds after it's used, then perhaps not as powerful as it seems on the surface.
I was a bit confused by it too. Snacks, what was your read on it? I mean, I'm presuming that once you hit 80, the buff, goes out there and you've now locked it in for 12 seconds. What do you think, Snacks?
Yeah, that's the way that I interpret it as well.
Fair enough. Arcos, what's another?
It seems to be... No, sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, it seems to be like once you hit 80 rage, you get this buff, and then it's either gone after 12 seconds or you make 12 swings.
No, I'm still just confused by the wording of it. But if you need to pull rage to 80 to like engage it, like what's the internal cooldown on that, right? Like, is the method just going to be pull rage to 80, dump everything for 12 seconds or 12 swings, and then pull to 80 again and proc it immediately again once you hit 80? It doesn't sound like a fun warrior playstyle anymore if you're needing to pull rage to 80 every 15-20 seconds. So it looks very powerful. I'm confused by if it's going to be fun or not.
Okay. Well, what's another one that made your pants grow tight? There must be one you're busting to try on.
I think they're all just kind of like, I feel like most of them are quite strong, but they're not exactly exciting outside of Warbringer. I think Flagellation is probably really good in a PvE environment. Like 25% bonus damage for 12 seconds after using Blood Rage or Berserker Rage. So Blood Rage is a 1 minute cooldown and Berserker Rage a 30-second cooldown. So you can kind of keep that running quite frequently. Like if you use your Blood Rage first and then your Berserker Rage, like you can either, if there's no internal cooldown, of course, then you can either do 24 seconds of continuous Flagellation for like an execute phase, or if you do Blood Rage first and then Berserker, you can perhaps roll the buff every 15-20 seconds of the combat. So if you have a 3-minute boss fight, you can have a very high uptime of Flagellation, so 25% increased damage or physical damage. So that's interesting. Could lead to like a very different playstyle, because a lot of warriors didn't really use Blood Rage or Berserker Rage in Classic. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure about like Raging Blow and whatever it's called, Quick Strike. I need to test them or see someone test them before I like kind of make a decision on them. Neither one looks like super interesting on the face of it.
Snacks, let me ask. Sorry, just finish off.
Sorry. No, I was going to say like, if Quick Strike isn't like exactly like Heroic Strike, then you could like there could be some fun things to do with it, but it's hard to say it's based on a tooltip.
Well, that's exactly where I was going next. Snacks, I'll throw this one to you. And sorry, you Warlocks, Wacklow and Axe, mate, guys, we might be about 20 minutes late if that's okay. Just DM me if that's an issue. So sorry about that. I was late to start this one. Snacks, I look at, Quick Strike, and I look at, what's the other one? Raging Blow. And over the last few days, I've sort of been like, nobody's talking about these abilities. And I mean, I'm weirdly not like overly enamored with them myself either. Do you think a lot of that comes from with an actual strike or like, a weapon skill ability like this, we actually need to use it before we determine how we feel about it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it depends on the cooldown as well. Like, how long of a cooldown is it? And I think it's also kind of been left by the wayside because like Raging Blow comes along with Warbringer. Warbringer is kind of one that grabs everyone's attention. And same one for like Single-Minded Fury, Devastate, and Endless Rage. Like they kind of get lost in the crowd a little bit. But I think maybe it's mostly gonna be a PvP rune. But at the same time, like for PvP, how will you ever justify taking Raging Blow over Warbringer? So Yeah, I feel like they get lost in the crowd a little bit. It seems like you're losing too much to pick up something that you don't really know if it's good or not because of, cooldown and stuff like this.
Yeah, I think if jump in on quick
Yeah.
strike, I think if you pair it with frenzied assault, which is like 20% increased attack speed while wearing a two-handed weapon, and then you take quick strike, depending on quick strike cooldown and like how it kind of interacts with your swing timer, you could be looking at using it very frequently. And that's of course assuming that it doesn't have a cooldown like your quick strike does. So maybe you could see some big damage there, but that forces you to be two-hand, of course.
Yeah,
So
I
it
wonder if it's
indicates
like
PvP.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like maybe for a potential like two-handed arms slam rotation kind of thing, where you would use
Yeah.
that in between slams and when Mortal Strike is on cooldown. Like maybe that's the play.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like you can kind of see a charge, Mortal Strike, and Quick Strike like in succession, like batched together in one macro, right? It's like a big dick macro. But yeah, you're giving up. Not like you could take Warbringer, Frenzied Assault, Quick Strike, and just go PvP, right? That could be the play.
It's been really interesting to me via these runes how they're trying to really add to the sex appeal of both two-handed playstyles and dual wield playstyles. And you guys know I'm a really big dual wield stan. I fucking love it on my warrior. I went Fury in hardcore and absolutely adored it. Even went against the grain of the arms leveling thing. Still got to 60. Had a great fucking time. I love dual wielding on my shaman as well. I want them to look after two-handed enhance. Don't get me wrong, but I fucking love dual wielding. So we've got to come up with a D every day. And my next question might go towards the potential for season of dual wielding. Do you feel that? I guess it's more obviously Fury gets its day in raiding, but through the leveling process, everyone's just arms, arms, arms. Do you feel that if they, again, just sort of sexied up Fury a little bit through the leveling process, that you might be more inclined to play it? How do you feel about dual wielding on the warrior in PvP and leveling? Do you want its glory restored?
No, not really. Like the leveling meta was that you would stay two-handed until you can get the Thrash Blade or Trash Blade, which has like a wintry effect on it, or like a Hand of Justice effect on it. I'm fine with that. Like I don't need to be dual wield for like level 1 to 45 or whatever it is when you can get Thrash Blade.
You can't handle it. You're just a sucker for those big numbers.
Nah, like I don't know. I think it's just like it doesn't bother me anyway. Like I know that people have preferences, but to me it doesn't matter.
What about you, Snacks? Season of dual wields, or you're all about the two-handers?
I think it would be all about the 200 still, because I think, like, of course you can make both work, but with hit chance, I don't really see, like, without them changing anything about like offhand hit chance, it doesn't really seem viable.
You've just shattered my heart into 1,000 pieces, the both of you. How dare you? That's all right. Look, guys, let's talk.
I'm sorry. But, I mean,
That's all right.
it already was like Season of Dual Wield as soon as you hit 60 and start raiding. Like you're not even allowed to sword and board in a dungeon because you have to dual wield as a tank as well. So
yeah. Well,
dual wielders have had their day.
That's true. On the dual wield point, while we finish up on it, I asked the other classes this yesterday when obviously I should be throwing this question your way, the way of the warriors. I was asking about, a lot of people are talking that, and again, obviously, we're not talking about data mine stuff, but I don't believe this one has been thrown out, or discovered anywhere. So it is pure speculation. A lot of people are saying that they seem to think it's a foregone conclusion that Titan's Grip is coming later down the track for Warriors. Given some of the runes we've seen, they think there's going to be synergy later on with Titan's Grip. Do you think that is the case? And if so, how do you feel about Titan's Grip?
I don't really want to see it, to be honest.
Yeah, how come?
I think it's hard to put words thoughts towards on this one. Like, it's incredibly cool, right, to have to dual wield 200 weapons, but it's just such a wrath-filling talent. I wouldn't want to see it. Like, it would be super powerful, and if you look at Fury Warrior as the like top dog in raw DPS, and you just give them 200s instead of 100s, you would be looking at this too much of a DPS increase, I think, and even just like rage generation, like hitting with 200 weapons, you're just going to be rage capped all the time. You're going to have consumed by rage or whatever it was called all the time. Like, it will just be completely busted. It could be fun for a fun server, but I wouldn't expect it to be there.
Snacks, how about you?
Yeah, kind of same. Not a huge fan of it. Again, I'm not really a Wrath of the Lich King player, so I don't really have any experience with it. But yeah, I would again also prefer not to see it really.
It's interesting. I'm again, as someone who's never used Titan's Grip or had much to do with it, I'm the casual that is intrigued by the shiny toy and goes, oh yeah, carrying a two-hander in each hand. But the veteran warriors really do seem to reflect what you guys have said today. The vast amount of comments online are just like, I don't feel great about Titan's Grip. So it will be interesting to see which way. And I don't know if it's like game breaking for a season, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do it or not in the end.
I really hope it.
I mean, absolutely. Like, you can always try it out because it is seasonal, but I just feel like it kind of dilutes the individual fantasies that like each of the talent trees is kind of meant to represent. Like, big weapon is supposed to be arms, one in each hand is supposed to be fury, sword and board is supposed to be protection, and like when you get the big chunky weapons and you get two of them, it kind of like what is arms then anyway, you know?
Yeah.
Sure. All right, guys, Snacks, let me get you in on this one and say, now that we've talked about a Wrath ability maybe that you wouldn't like to see in Season of Discovery, what are some of the TBC or Wrath or abilities of your own concoction that you would like to see come to Season of Discovery that you're really hanging out for, and keeping in mind that we're not discussing anything that's been data mined?
I don't really have an overview of anything that's been data mined anyway. I mean, I think last time I was here and spoke about Warrior before, I've always been a bit sad that Fury Prot is a meta thing. I would hope that anything that keeps protection as the best tank spec would be my kind of dream, because I've never liked dual wield tanking. It doesn't feel like tanking. It feels like trying to be a DPS while you're keeping threat. So I would hope that they introduce anything and everything that would make protection the best, or at least the most viable tanking spec at 60.
Arcos?
Regarding tanking, sorry?
Sorry, same question, disregard. Are there abilities from TBC or Wrath or something maybe you've made up that you'd like to see in Season of Discovery for Warriors?
No, not really. I think the amount of abilities Warriors have in Vanilla is fine. Don't think we need a lot of new ones. Like, it's fine to get like 2 different strikes that you can play around with, like in Raging Blow and in Quick Strike. But I think for Warrior in Vanilla, like changes that are good or are like improving the class, it's kind of just Warbringer. Like, Warrior already does the most damage. You get all the gear, you get all the raid spots. You get, like, if you're Horde, you get Wind Fury and you go right. So I don't think you really need a lot of more like buttons to press. Like, you don't have a lot of buttons to press on a boss, but it's enough. It's fun enough. Like, I don't think you need 6 buttons to press in one like patchwork fight. I think it would just make warriors too complicated, and it wouldn't be as much fun.
That's a fair argument. Let me introduce a few questions from the crowd, which I think are good ones to raise. And I think I probably would have been hunted down if I didn't ask this first question that Andrew Grid has asked. Thank you for putting that one in, Andrew. Snacks. I had never heard of Gladiator Stance until last week. A lot of people are wondering whether or not it will come to Season of Discovery. I've had to look into what the fuck it is, and it's apparently got this very long and controversial history throughout, WoW after it was introduced and eventually gotten rid of. How do you feel about Gladiator Stance? What's your relationship or knowledge of it? And do you want it?
I gotta be honest, I have zero idea what it is.
Oh, okay. No, all good. Arcos, do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you go in on it. You don't want to see it. How come?
I think it's you're just adding things for the sake of adding things.
Same argument. Yeah.
Like if you're thinking of like Gladiator Stance for PvP, I don't know. Like you don't need it. Like I don't know why you would need it. You want to be in Berserker stance so that you can use Berserker Rage if someone fears you or stops you or gouges you. You want to be able to use Berserker Rage. I don't see why they would add a stance called Gladiator Stance and then allow you to use Berserker Rage in Gladiator Stance because it's supposed to be a PvP stance. Like it's just adding stuff for the sake of adding stuff, I think.
And I can assure you that I don't want to compete against DPS warriors for my shields.
Yeah, I mean, you always want a shield for PvP, regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're charging into a stack of 10 people, you're gonna want to charge Sword and Board here or Howling, get your heals.
Is that why I kept dying in Warsong Gulch?
Probably, yeah. Then, like, once they've blown their load and you've survived, you swap back to your 2-hand and you kick ass and you take names.
Here you go. All right, next question from the crowd. Apostle Z. Snacks. Do you think the Devastate rune will make Prot Warrior good enough to outshine Fury Prot?
I think that rune alone, probably not, but I see it as I see it as kind of a wink that it's gonna be good later, or like there will be stuff added later that will make it viable. I also heard that it was bugged or something.
Yeah, that's
during
right.
The demo,
on the demo, it wasn't working.
Didn't work properly. But I hope it's gonna be like buffed to the point where, like I said, protection is still the best tanking spec. Because, like I said, I never liked Fury Prot.
No, I'm all in on. I don't really. I've not tried Fury Prot, but I fucking love protection. So I'm of the belief, and I hope that they really are trying to make protection a thing, not just more in PvE, but also in PvP. I would love to PvP as a fucking protection warrior in a vanilla-esque world. Like that sounds phenomenal to me. So if you do get something like this Devastate rune and something that continues to further build up, like, hey, you can have a sword and shield on and do some serious fucking damage against other players. Like, that would be really cool. Arcos, anything on that, on protection warriors and Devastate?
Yeah, I think it depends on the threat modifier of Center Armor, I think. I've tried to find like old data for the threat modifier of Center Armor, but I can't find it. Like it will do 100% weapon damage and plus 10% per application. So you would assume to a maximum of 150% weapon damage once you have 5 stacks. But like each use of Devastate or Center Armor will need to have like a significant threat modifier, like at least higher than Bloodthirst, in order for protection to be more threat per second than Fury Prot. And like that's kind of the reason why Fury Prot is so good you do a lot of like a decent amount of damage, and the strat modifier of Bloodthirst is broken. Like I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was like at the top almost of just below that shield slam ability, I think. So if they've just given you Thunder Armor with a lot of damage behind it, but the threat modifier isn't there, then like threat per second will still be Fury Prot, and if Fury Warrior damage is increasing by 10%, 20%, 30%, or like at least not decreasing, then there's no chance you can keep threat if you're using Devastate, and there's no significant threat modifier behind it.
I'm with Zim. I
just-
love Revenge Spec. Sorry, you're gonna say? Go for it.
No, I was just gonna mention on your protection PvP comment that it's also something I would love to see. I remember dueling or like PvPing against rogues as prot in Classic is just fantastic because they absolutely can't kill you, and you just wear them down slowly because they just don't do any damage. And I would love for that to be a viable thing, in at least maybe in battlegrounds like AV, where you can actually be useful as a meat shield that can soak up a lot of damage and get in there and fuck people up even as protection.
I would love to be a pest like that because I'm not playing rogue where I can be in a fucking annoying cunt in that regard. So if I could be an annoying cunt as a prot warrior, that'd be great.
That's the dream.
Oh, dude, that is the dream. All right, guys. Look, we'll have to start winding this one up. Arcos, you might have had a bunch of stuff in your notes that we maybe haven't mentioned yet. So we'll start to sort of do the whole. Is there stuff you had written down or stuff that we really need to say before we go? Otherwise, we're doing everyone dirty on Warriors.
Yeah, I kind of touched on it in the beginning. Like if rage generation is changed, then it's probably a DPS increase, and it could be a very significant decrease, and it could be a very significant decrease. If rage is the same as it was, then we're looking at quite a good chunk of increased DPS, I think, at max level. One thing that I wanted to kind of throw out regarding the Wind Fury is that it like sounds to me like they're trying to get people to play Horde, even by giving Alliance Wind Fury, and it's just the way that they're doing it, like through
You said to me it was a Horde buff, right?
Yeah.
Explain.
So it kind of depends how you look at it, though. Like if you're just doing 5 months with your friends, or you're doing like 25 months Soul Guru Reiki 20, you don't really care. But for vanilla, the metagaming is speedrunning because the content is easy, so we create our own artificial difficulty to challenge ourselves and have fun, and that's speedrunning. And I sent you a few like screenshots of the roster, like the meta rosters, and if you check out those images, I'll just explain to the listeners.
I'll show off our filthy DMs.
Sure. So if you're Alliance metagaming, you're speedrunning, you're kind of just stacking warriors. You've got a mix of healers. You've got a couple of warlocks and some mages, right? If you're Horde, it's picture perfect the same, but you swap your disc priest with restoration shaman so that you get Wind Fury in every group. But now that Alliance have Wind Fury on a feral druid, they have to drop one Fury warrior in each group to accommodate Wind Fury in that group. So they lose 6 warriors in their comp to gain Wind Fury in each group. And if we're just looking at like patchwork DPS numbers for the 90th percentile, that's like a DPS difference of about 3,500 rate damage, which equates to about 2.5 warriors. So it's a net negative, I think, for Alliance rate damage, even if you get Wind Fury, just by having to lose 6 Fury warriors.
Snacks, when you hear that, how do you agree, disagree, or is it new information to take in and hard to process in the moment?
Yeah, I think kind of the last one. I mean, I think speculating on like end game raid comps is kind of like you're not gonna get anywhere considering that we only know level 25 runes.
Yeah, Arcos,
I
you
understand that people
fuckwit.
do it already, but
Yeah, of course. If they give Wintry to a healer for Alliance, then it'll just be copy paste of the Horde comp just with whichever healer that gets Wintry for Alliance. But that's kind of why I feel, of course, like Snack says, it's impossible to gauge right now what endgame is going to look like. But just on the face of it, if one raid team is, or like if both raid teams are full of warriors, but one of them needs to drop 6 of them to accommodate Wintry, unless the kitty cat DPS is going to be really close to a Fury Warrior, it's a DPS like, net decrease compared to a Horde roster because their healers can just provide the Wintry.
I just
So that's
I love
my hot take.
that I get to call you a fuckwit because you're doing what all the I've been shaking my head at all the YouTubers doing the whole like let's talk about what class is going to dominate at 60 and what your raid comp's going to look like. So you can't get away from the meta, Arcos. I love it.
No, I mean it's just the warrior brain. Like if it's my first love, it's my second love. Then it's my kids probably after that. But
All
we'll
good.
discuss that later.
All good. Snacks, have we left anything on the table that must be discussed before we go?
not off the top of my head, really. No.
All right. Well, guys, I mean, get excited. The fucking season of the dual wielding warrior, like I said, I hope is coming, but also I hope the two-handers are good for you guys. We might have to wrap it up there because I've got to get into
Devastate.
the season of Devastate. Fuck yeah, that's the one. All right, there's your D word for the day. Fucking give him the Devastate. Boys, I've got to get to this Warlock chat or else we'll never get out of here. I know there's a bunch of stuff that we left on the table, but I really want to keep these to about an hour, and I think we've done that. So very, very good. Arcos, my friend, thank you so much. Your sweat is always appreciated on this show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll send you an invoice for my sweat at some point.
I sent you my sweat.
It's just good to be here.
Just send me envelopes full of your sweat. That's
Yeah.
all.
I'll send you a crate full of jugs of sweat.
Mate, Belle Delphine sells her bathwater. Here at Countdown to Classic, we sell Arcos's sweat.
Yeah, good. That's good. Yeah, I'm down for that. We need to monetize this channel more.
Well, not sure how many units will move, but we could give it a go.
Hey, every unit moved is cash in the pocket, right?
That's it. Snacks, mate. Thank you so much. It was great having you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be back, and I'm sweaty by proximity, so it's all good here.
That's it. All right, guys, we'll get you out of here, and we'll bring the Warlocks in. Axe, Wacklow, hit that button. Actually, I'll just pull you in. Here we go. See you, Arcos.
The Warlocks.
Yeah, see you guys. See you, Arcos. See you, Snacks. We'll talk to you later. All right. Let me just save this file, guys. Give me 1 second. Save as warrior. Very good. Do a new recording. And I'll just test your volume. How are you, Axe? What's going on, man? Can you hear me? You might be on mute. I'll try you, Wacklow. How are you? Or can I not hear anyone? Are people trying to talk? Oh, no, yours is working, Snacks. Wacklow, is yours working? No, not coming through. Axe's mic isn't working. That's all right. We'll get on it. Wacklow's DMing me going, everything's falling apart. Let me just find out.
All right.
1 second.
If everyone's fixing technical issues, I'll be right back real quick.
Oh, good. Thanks, Next.
Okay, how about now?
All good. All good. Perfect. Let me just double check something, actually. Docs, SoDcast, Snacks, Wacklow. Yep. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, you're all good, man. Just hit me with a test 1 2 3.
Test 1 2 3.
Yep, beautiful. I'll turn you up a little bit.
Great. I'll move it a little closer.
Oh, too easy. Axe, let me know how you're going. I think something came through then, Axe. Nope, it came through for half a second. You lit up. All good. Once Axe has worked out his mic, we'll get the party started. Oh, how you been, Wacklow? Is it not working again? Nobody wants to talk to me. The Warlocks, the silent and staunch type. I'll keep the good people entertained on my own for now. Guys, I hope you're enjoying these chats. So we've got Warlock and Rogue coming up. I hope to get... the Rogue one is going to be running late, and I think one of the guests needed to start at a certain time, so I hope that still works out. We'll see what happens. Snacks, you're back, yeah?
Okay, I'm on headset now.
All right, you're all good, Wacklow. Coming through good. That's fine. Axe might still be working out his issues. That's okay.
All right, I'm back.
All right, you're back. So, Axe, how you going? You're lighting up. Try again, Axe. Nope. That's all right. Axe, keep on it. We'll have to get started soon, though, or I'll fall too far behind schedule, if that's okay. So, but just feel free to barge in 5-10 minutes into the chat if you work out the mic issues. I'll start this recording. Where are we? Just literally yell out if you get it working. Axe in the middle. It doesn't matter. Here we go. Okay, it's time for the second last class call, and we are discussing Warlocks, a class that has a lot of people very, very interested in it. I have no doubt this is going to be an insanely popular class for Season of Discovery, given the new toys that they have now been dealt. So discussing this class, we've brought in a few countdown people, and we are ready to go. Snacks, backing up off of the Warrior chat, mate. Thank you so much for joining. Is it the Discord? Is it me? Do you think?
No, I think we're just having insanely bad luck right now.
I know. Axe thinks it's just him.
My mic was acting up the other day. I think at least on my end, it's really the mic.
Snacks, can you hear me? Type in chat if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, there you go.
You were cutting out halfway through your...
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's my bad. You were having that issue before. All right, hang on one sec. I'll just get you to say your hellos, Snacks. Bear with me 1 second. All right, hit me with as if I just welcome you to the show, Snacks.
Glad to be back here again. Thanks for having me over for another round.
Mate, more than happy to have you.
Too much away with my Warrior bullshit.
No, not at all. You were brilliant on the Warrior chat, so more than happy to have you here for Warlocks. Let's also welcome another regular Countdown contributor, Wacklow. Mate, how are you?
Pretty good. Good to be back again.
Mate, it's great to have you. Look, guys, I'm going to start you off with the same question. It's not a secret around here. Warlocks really seems to get some exciting, spicy stuff. So the question is, Wacklow, I'll start with you. How fun is Warlock looking to be fun in Season of Discovery? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think it looks super fun. I think we're headed into season of Demonology, most likely.
Ding, ding,
Demonology
ding.
looks, another one. It just looks so strong, both as a DPS and as a tank. And everyone loves Metamorphosis. I just think everyone's going to be playing Warlocks this time around.
Very, very good. All right. Sorry, not Axe. Snacks. That's the one I meant to say. Snacks, does Warlock look fun in Season of Discovery, and if so, why?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's kind of it's the tanking aspect that draws me in. I played a little bit of Warlock just as a DPS, or like as Leving as an alt. But like anything that allows me to tank in a different class makes me hyped.
That's the way. All right. Well, look, I mean, everyone's talking about the difficulty that they're having in choosing which classes to play in Season of Discovery. And while the generic answer has been, why not just play them all? Why don't you just tell me the movie you want to see? It's one of those things where eventually we're not going to have the time to play them all. So while most of us, might get 5-6 classes up to 25, that's all well and good. Eventually you are going to be pressed at the later levels for, maybe choosing 1, 2, 3 classes that you really enjoyed to get to 60. Warlock is one that's really been tempting for me, and I've wanted to make it one of the classes I'll play, but it has fallen a little bit by the wayside just because of my massive caster bias. I really am not a big fan of casters anymore. I much prefer melee, but that's me. But is it the case for you guys, Wacklow, that Warlock is you're going to be your main or easily your number one choice, or was it difficult for you as well, even with what Warlock's getting?
No, I've been on a total carousel of what's going to be my main. I thought I'm definitely going to play mage again, maybe even 2. But besides that, I want to play Ret Paladin. I want to play Demo Lock. I want to play everything under the sun. So no, I'm not settled, but I'm sure I'll at least level a Warlock to 25 or 40.
All right. How about you, Snacks? You've just been talking about warriors, so here you are expressing your two-timing on warriors now on the Warlock chat. Which one is it, baby? Is it Warlock main, or is it not locked in yet?
I don't think it's locked in yet, but as long as it's got war in the name, I'm gonna play it. But if you're not feeling the casters, Josh, as a metamorphosis Warlock, you're standing in melee spamming Searing Pain. You're basically melee anyway.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that is very tempting. So I'll try. I'll have a lock at 25. I'll try it. We'll see what happens. And if I fall in love with it, then fucking so be it. I fall in love with it. Axe has joined us. Let's see if Axe's mic is working now. Axe, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just switched to my phone. Hopefully my audio isn't garbage as a result.
No, it's fine, mate. That's a good result. I'm so glad we got you in here in the end after a bunch of technical difficulties. Discord seems to be just ruining people today, so I wouldn't stress too much. Mate, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Mates, look, I just asked the guys the very easy layup intro questions. I'll ask you the same ones. Does Warlock look fun to you in Season of Discovery, and if so, why?
Oh, of course, just everyone's excited because of Metamorphosis. For me, it's I had started with 3 and I've whittled it down to 2, and I'm thinking I'm leaning Warlock, but we'll see at level 25 and 40 and such.
But what's the gravitational pull? We'll get into the specifics soon, obviously, but generically, what's the gravitational pull towards Warlock for you? Why does it look so fun?
Oh, well, Warlock's always been one of my favorite classes, and tanking is one of my favorite things to do in WoW. So just that combo has never been possible before, and so it's just such an appealing thing. The
happy marriage that sucked you in. I love it. All right, guys. Well, look, let's get into some of the runes, I guess. Same path that I've taken with everyone else. Wacklow, I'll start with you. Give me, we'll maybe save Metamorphosis for its own separate discussion. So forget Metamorphosis for now. Give me a rune that really has risen to the top there as your number one with a bullet. Fuck me, I can't wait to try this one out.
I think Shadowbolt Volley is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been able to track down exactly how it works. I haven't talked to anyone who played it at BlizzCon. But even if it has a bit of a CD, it's going to be such a strong AoE ability compared to basically anything that anyone had in vanilla.
Well, it reads as just, obviously, as you say, the cooldown is going to be key there, but it really is just like chain lightning with 2 extra targets or whatever, right?
Yeah, the wording almost makes it seem like it just changes your Shadow Bolt into a volley, but that seems so absurdly broken. If you have a pack of 3 or 4 or 5, I almost can't imagine it being that, but maybe it'll just be insane AoE.
Yeah, I do wonder how they'll sort of even animation-wise do that as well, because I don't know, I read the tooltip, and I'm in slight disagreement with you. It reads to me as your Shadow Bolt goes out and then bounces to 4 targets next to the main target, like a chain lightning would. as opposed to an actual volley. But I mean, fuck, I might be way off there. I would love it to be the actual volley and 5 bolts go out, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the one that just ping pong bounces around. I don't know. How do you other guys read that?
I think I read it as volley, as like it's five shadow bolts at the same time.
I hope so. And I guess if there's only 3 targets, only 3 would go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we also don't see if it's like if it has any cooldown or anything.
Yeah. Sorry, Axe, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say it's confusing because it calls a volley, but it says the chain distance. So I assume it just sends them all simultaneously based off whatever the single target is distance.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we're just talking about the animation, right? It's pretty clear how it works. From text.
Excuse me, sir. Yeah. The animation will determine whether or not this ability gets used. It is crucial.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you have like a giant chain lightning with a fell effect, it'll be cool enough to still be used.
Or you just have the shadow bolts drop on them from above like a meteor. That'd be something different as well. Axe, how about you, mate? What's the outside of Metamorphosis? What's the rune that really has you salivating here? And again, just remember, guys, we're not discussing data mine stuff.
For me, it's not so flashy, but the Master Channeler rune just really sings to me. I love being able to move at all times. So changing a channeled ability into an instant cast just seems so fun.
I agree with you. I love, like, I was dicking around on a Warlock on PTR over the last few days, and yeah, just moving around and casting dots is a lot of fun. I did say the other day though that I've got a weird thing with channeled abilities. I love the feel of channeled drain life, but this Master Channeler thing also does super appeal to me because, like, running a few more yards and just throwing up another dot sounds really fucking fun. So it's a really interesting interaction there. The double mana cost, I think, is a fun one to sort of make you think twice at times, maybe. But I mean, a lot of people are going to be casting this, and people are already highlighting it as well as, like, maybe the one that the Warlock tank will go with. Yeah,
I would think so. But you're not necessarily restricted to that. I could also see like Lake of Fire having a role. But
Lake of Fire, I'm so confused about, but we'll talk about that one soon. Snacks, how about you? What rune is your number one choice there? Number one draft pick?
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned Lake of Fire because I that's the one that I've been looking at as well. Because like it seems that as a tank, you're kind of gonna lean into fire damage with the Searing Pain being your like number one ability. So I can kind of see you pull with Lake of Fire or like you pull with Rain of Fire to make the fire effect, and then you start spamming Searing Pain for extra damage and extra threat when they're all taking 40% extra.
How do you other guys feel about Lake of Fire? Because, like, I'd feel confused by it. I feel like a lot of other people are confused by it, by the wording of the tooltip. Tell me, your Wacklow Axe, what do you feel on it?
I mostly just hope that the actual effect on the ground lasts for a long time, because what's clear from what they have written is that if the enemy's in it, they'll get this debuff, right? It's not clear whether the debuff will fall off if they leave it, whether it, just like applies for 15 seconds, even if you're at the end of the effect. But I think what I'm getting at is my worry with it is your rotation is going to look like this if you're playing like a Fire Warlock. You're going to tick Lake of Fire once every 15 seconds, and then you're going to go back into a normal rotation, and that's just a horrible loop to go through.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
I think that's how it's going to work too.
It doesn't sound fun, does it?
No, not particularly. And otherwise, Fire looks so amazing. Like, Fire looks almost like what you get in Wrath. It's like a simple but really satisfying and really punchy spec, or at least it looks that way right now. So I really hope that Lake of Fire isn't quite what I think it's going to be.
Unless it's something like they don't just get the debuff off the one tick. It either, I don't know. I don't know how you would do it actually. But yeah, I've been thinking that, like, just casting it for the one tick would be a little bit boring. And then there's the really interesting tank interaction as well, like you doing that as a tank.
Yeah,
I
and
think
you
that's
can't
the most
dodge or
interesting part.
anything, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Snacks, are you going to say that's the most interesting one for you?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, obviously you can't do it while you're tanking, like unless it's like a snap thing where you just channel for 1 second and then you keep going. But I hope, or like the way that I see it, it might be like snap threat kind of ability where you do that at like you pull with Rain of Fire and then you start doing your normal rotation. But then again, if you're only doing it for like pulling or snap threat, it seems like it's not worth taking. Like then Demonic Tactics is probably better as a tank, I would imagine, or maybe Master Channeler.
Well, guys, before we maybe go into some of the other runes, let's talk about Metamorphosis for a second and this Warlock tanking playstyle. I think it's phenomenal that they did this. I think it's a really, really, solid move on their behalf. A lot of people are discussing it. A lot of people are excited by it. There's going to be a fuck ton of Warlocks out there, I can fucking guarantee you. And we'll talk about another reason another reason Metamorphosis will have a lot of people playing Warlock soon. But just on the PvE tanking aspect, do you think that the tooltip nails it and like this will be everything you've needed to Warlock tank? I mean, obviously there'll be more coming later down the track, but it's a fucking good start, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a great start. I mean, there's end game worries that I have. I know it's like really early to talk about end game, but the first 2 raids of Classic are basically all fire immune. It's like really hard to be a fire damage dealing class or tank. So that's a concern, but at level 25, I think it's going to be really strong. It looks like it's going to feel really good. Yeah, no complaints.
How about you other guys? Snacks?
Yeah, same. I think it looks like great fun. It looks like they've really thought of like what you would need as a tank. Like it's not just like slapping a taunt ability on any class and be like, there you go, you're a tank now. Like they're actually thought it through pretty well. Like was just said, I think it looks a bit sketchy for late game content, but I can imagine that they do some sort of like maybe a rune that changes your fire damage into shadow damage or something of that variety, where you can still use your Searing Pain and your fire spells in order to be able to tank MC, because like it seems like such a big flag that they would have to consider, like they know that their first 2 raids are so fire based that they wouldn't like send you into MC with Searing Pain being your main threat ability. So I can imagine there's going to be something down the road that's going to either change the rotation or change the damage type, I can imagine.
But in saying that, Axe, let me ask you this, flowing on from that point. They've made it very clear that they kind of don't want necessarily plug and play generic tanks in all forms of PvE content, and they've highlighted that the shaman's your physical tank, warlock might be your magical tank. There's going to be moments for everyone. Do you applaud that kind of design? Like, do you think that's a good thing that they've done or not? Might have lost Axe again on the microphone. That's all right. I'll throw the same question to you, Wacklow.
I think it sounds great as an aspiration. I don't know how it's going to shake out in practice. I mean, looking at what we've seen over the lifetime of Classic, there's never really been like a wide variety of viable tanks that each have their own niche, as great as it sounds. Right now in Wrath, Paladins are great. No one else is really that great. Blood's fine. Kind of the same in TBC. Like, Paladins had that AoE niche, and Bears were the main tank, supposedly, but Warriors were really bad, and then in Vanilla, obviously, it was just Warriors, so we'll see how it shakes out. I wouldn't be surprised if one tank ends up just being the best 95% of the time, but it would be really cool, I agree, if you had these different niches, and, this fight needs a Warlock, this fight needs a Bear, this fight needs a healing mage.
Axe, I think you're back with us. I'll just inject this comment from Sneaky Bard, who we heard from on the Druid call regarding the question I asked Wacklow. I do disagree with Sneaky on this point. He said he goes, his hot take on all the new tanks is that they're not meant to be full tanks. They're just meant to be situational tanks. I do disagree with that, and we raised this in the Mage Core when we were talking about the healing mage and what plans the Classic team have for these new specs, or these new roles attached to classes. And I just sort of said I can't see a situation where they've gone all the way to sell Season of Discovery a little bit on, hey, healing mage, tank shaman, tank warlock, and have them only either be shit or have them be only used in niche scenarios. I think the design intention is to be look, they might be weak in certain fights, but you can absolutely tank all the fucking dungeons with whatever tank or whatever healer. Would you think that that's the philosophy, Axe, or do you think maybe they have leaned into it being quite niche? No, still don't have Axe. That's all right. Same question for you, Snacks.
Sorry, could you repeat the
Yeah, sure. So basically I was just saying, do you think they'll make it so that all tanks can tank all dungeons, or do you think they actually will lean into making it quite niche?
I think the answer to that question is whether we will have either dual spec or some sort of way to change your talents or runes on the fly. Because otherwise, why would you bring a situational tank that's only good for a couple of bosses if they then can't change their spec to be DPS or some sort of utility role on the bosses that they can't tank? I would like to see more situational tanking specs where in different bosses you bring your resistance gear for this or that. I like that type of variety, but I think it would have to depend on the flexibility of the spec as well in order to make it useful, because otherwise why bring that type of tank when you could just bring a Fury Prot warrior that can tank through the whole thing anyway, right?
To be fair to Sneaky, I'll throw in his clarification where he said, I'm actually talking about raids, Josh. Jeez, I'm throwing him under the bus here. He said he's talking about raids, not about dungeons. So that's fine. And I think Blizzard has come out and said very much so that, hey, they've hinted Warlocks might have a bit...
Or I lost you.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I think it's...
Not sure if that's for everyone.
Is that for everyone?
You're good for me.
Oh, okay. All good. Don't worry, Snacks. I'll throw this one to Wacklow. It's all good. I think Blizzard has absolutely foreshadowed that, raid or endgame might be a bit of a different story. Warlocks might have the bad time in MC, and we've discussed that a little bit already. But I don't have as big of a drama with tank swapping in raids. I think historically we are quite used to that as WoW players. Would you agree with that, Wacklow?
Yeah, you mean swapping back and forth between DPS?
Yeah. As opposed, obviously, it's far more problematic in dungeon content because, mate, we've got one fucking tank for the most part. Yeah, sure. Other people might be able to tank, but you know what I mean. And whereas in a 40-man raid, you're it's okay. The fucking warrior can tank this one. The paladin can tank that one. The fucking druid can tank this one. The warlock can do this one. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what sort of shit they'll throw at the wall and how much they'll mix it up. But just thinking of baseline vanilla. Four horsemen being an obvious exception, bosses don't really need that many tanks. You need 3 on Fire Maw. Can't really think of any others where you even need that many. So bringing a lot of off tanks in vanilla is really a trash thing. In AQ, you need, I don't know, I think on some polls 6 warrior off tanks, something crazy like that. So this is just going off what Snack said a minute ago. You're going to need to be able to dynamically swap in the raid if you're going to be playing something like a Warlock off tank, or else all the off tanks are just going to be warriors again. Someone who can be in their DPS spec, throw on a shield and tank, because Warlocks really need metamorphosis, but they'll probably also need some sort of spec. Maybe not. Maybe they can just switch on the Rune and go to town, but I don't think that's clear yet for end game content.
Snacks, hopefully this question comes through clear. I know Discord is playing up a lot today. Still on the tanking thing with Warlocks, what can you see your rotation kind of being? I mean, obviously it explains to you, you've got, your Shadow Bolt is now Shadow Cleave, 6-second cooldown, blah, blah, blah. But I'm really thinking about the practicality of like small trash packs in a dungeon where like, you might not have the time to try and throw corruptions and curses on all of them, and then weave in your Shadow Cleaves as well. Like it sounds like Warlock tanking could be potentially really busy, or you could make it rather simple just to get the job done. How do you envision it?
It's a very good question, because I don't really know. I think it's going to depend a lot on the packs that you're going to meet, and like, for example, what's this BFD raid going to be like. But as you said, I don't really envision it being like you have time to dot up every single target before you pull. So again, like I mentioned at the top of the call, I think pulling with Lake of Fire could be a possibility. But otherwise, I don't see it being a lot of like extra curses or drains or something outside of just spamming Searing Pain, or maybe having the sorry, I'm just looking over the runes now. Like maybe the Master Channeler putting up Drain Life and Corruption, and then just spamming Searing Pain, and then keeping your dots up outside of that. But I think it's going to depend on like how well is the threat going to translate, because are you going to be able to use GCDs to keep dots up on target, or are you just going to be busy spamming Searing Pain? It's a lot up in the air, because this is the first time we're getting something like this, but and with like spell pushback in melee as well, it's hard to say like what's going to be the most efficient way to keep your threat up. Like, are you going to be able to, stop midway to channel and emulate for your extra fire damage, or like, do you have to spec into improved corruption to get your like instant corruption? I can see there being a lot of theory crafting around it when we get kind of the full view of everything, but yeah, it's hard to say with the information that we've been presented so far.
The one thing, sorry, you go, Wacklow.
Oh, I was actually just going to ask, do you remember if you can use the new charge in combat, or is it like warrior charge?
You've stolen my question, you son of a bitch. I love it. So that's literally where I was going next, because I was going to say I'm really dubious over this demon charge ability, because it can't be used in combat, is what the tooltip says, right? So I look at demon charge an enemy and stun it for 1 second, can't be used in combat. And I'm like, this is a caster tank. I can't see. Tell me if I'm a fucking idiot for thinking this. I'm like, who is ever using demon charge? You don't have rage as a fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really see the use for it either. Because like, unless it's like a very tricky pack or something where you would want to kind of demon charge into demonic howl or something along those lines, or like demon charge into shadow cleave to kind of get the snap threat. But I mean, you have both single target and AoE spells to pull with anyway, so I don't really see like why you would want to charge in.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is if you can buffer the charge and still get it at the end of like an immolate pull, but yeah, it seems very niche.
I wouldn't be shocked to see that change to like an intercept ability where it's just like can be used in combat for a 2-second stun or something to stop casts getting off or some shit like that.
In that sense, I would actually maybe prefer it to be sort of like an intervene instead, like charging an ally instead of an enemy. Because you have like ranged options to pull targets to you, but being able to like actually protect your allies, because that's something that this build is lacking a little bit anyway. Like other tank classes like paladins, for example, can like buff and heal and protect their allies with spells, but you don't really have that as a warlock, because it's all damage or self-heal and self-sustain. So I think an intervene would be more useful than an intercept.
I don't want to talk about
do you really? Oh, sorry, Josh.
No, you go, mate. Always trust me. If we spoke at the same time, you override me.
Gotcha. Except for maybe like Shadow Burn, if you spec into it, what do you have in terms of like pulling something off of a party member from range? Because you can't charge, you can't Shadow Bolt, you can't Searing Pain, and nothing else does any real burst damage except, every once in a while you can.
I mean, you have your Curse of Recklessness, which is a taunt.
Melee ranged.
It's melee range, exactly. So it kind of depends on whether you want to go to the target that is being run at, or if you want to go to the targets it's running to. Because, for example, most bosses and a lot of dungeon mobs and raid mobs are immune to stuns anyway. So if it's an intervene, what's could happen is that you intervene to it, it's immune to stuns, so you're lagging behind anyway. But if you intervene to your ally, you then taunt it off. Like you then taunt the mob off.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be really good. Very good in PvP too.
Guys, I won't talk about tanking the whole time, but a last question on it. I do wonder if people might be mentioning that one of the slept-on runes is Chaos Bolt, and even in a tanking aspect, I know it's in the glove slot, so you're obviously going to pick Metamorphosis. But there was someone, I watched a weird video the other day. Actually, I'm not even going to talk about it. You take Metamorphosis, so forget about it. I'm going to change the wording of the question. I'm already realizing how silly it sounds. It was something about people like, maybe in some niche scenarios you'd tank with Chaos Bolt and use that as your opener and not have Metamorphosis. And I was kind of like, what? But anyway, forget that.
Yeah.
What I do want to ask,
tanking,
maybe. What I do want to ask is just with the concept of a caster tank in general. We've got Warlocks and now we've got Shaman coming into the mix, and I hadn't even really thought about it, but we were discussing in the Discord yesterday with Shaman where they were like, you probably might even go like 30-21 Elemental as a Shaman tank spec, which actually had a lot of merit and was really like, you're casting, maybe you are pulling with the chain lightning and whatnot, and people might be like, yeah, that's how you do it, fucking chain lightning LOS, I don't know. But same with the Warlock, where like, you might want to pull with a spell cast, you know what I mean, rather than just running into a pack of mobs. And this is a dumb question, but I'm kind of like, can you see classic players having the patience for caster tanks? Where I guess we're used to it with LOS anyway. Like, yeah, cast your spell and then pull them around the corner. But like, hang on 2.5 seconds, guys. I'm just going to cast this ability, and then we'll wait for them to come to me. Does the concept of a caster tank, sort of excite you, or does he think it comes with headaches in a weird way?
I think it's like kind of like any tank where there's a dynamic of you control the pace to some degree, and if someone tries to go ahead of you and gets bopped because of it, that's ultimately on them. But part of being a good tank is realizing what sort of group you're in and sort of setting your pace appropriately. And if you're in a good group, like being able to speed it up, being able to be in position and like kite mobs so that you can just keep pulling if that's what your group wants to do.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be the meta, honestly, that you just open with Incinerate.
Yeah, or like you imagine there will like every pull the Warlock tank. It's funny because we obviously have the old meme of wait for 5 Sunders or whatever, but the Warlock tank is like, all right, guys, every pull I'm gonna rain of fire. You wait for the 1 tick, then I'll go in, then you can follow me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people aren't going to tolerate that, but I think like. Look, Searing Pain in Vanilla does an insane amount of threat. You're increasing your threat by 100% in Metamorphosis. You're getting 25% more damage, and therefore threat from Incinerate. I think you're going to tab to each enemy, Searing Pain them once, and you're going to have enough threat for like the next 5 seconds, even if you just sit there. So I don't think there's going to be any issue. This looks, honestly, like a fun tank, but a pretty straightforward tank, given just how much threat you get out of that one spammable ability.
Yeah. Snacks, I'll throw the same question to you. I worded the question horribly, but Wacklow, I think, sees where I was going with it. Anything else on that, Snacks?
I would 100% agree with Wacklow. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people adapt to this type of like ranged pulling. Like you already pull with ranged, but you usually do it with, thrown weapons or something with like very short cast time.
Avengers shields,
but I do like what you're saying with Chaos Bolt, and I like reading it. It says all fire spells pierce through absorption effects. So maybe that is actually the way they change things to be able to tank MC and stuff.
Well, so that's the thing. Like,
with Chaos Bolt.
I laugh at it because I'm a fucking noob, but is there some form of utility here where you can tank without metamorphosis if you're like, you know, the unmissable Chaos Bolt that fucking lights up your opener?
But they're not the same
Yeah,
thing.
they're both
because
gloves.
Metamorphosis
right?
is glove.
No, they're both
Chaos
gloves,
Bolt is
aren't
chest.
they?
No.
Oh,
Chaos
really?
Bolt is chest.
Oh, on the side I'm looking at it says
Isn't-
they're both gloves.
I thought they were both gloves.
Yeah, I've got Glover
On
and
WoW
Metamorphosis and
The one I
Chaos Bolt.
found on Wowhead says it's what? It's actually it's on both. Yeah, Chaos Bolt is showing up on chest and on hands.
Okay, well,
So,
maybe
I don't know.
we don't know at this. Yeah,
If it's both, then I think that sounds like the way to go actually, because you know there are some issues tanking. For example, like tanking as a warrior, you miss your first Sunder, or you miss your opener. Like it's a low chance, but it happens. Like you miss your opener, and then everything is fucked. Like you need to call out on Discord, like stop DPS in order to not get people to pull. But Chaos Bolt can't miss, and it cannot be resisted. So it will always be a threat spike for you. So
True.
maybe that is actually the opener.
true. But in the
I'm
world
like
where they are,
90%
sorry, you
sure
go,
that-
Wacklo.
I was just gonna say I'm like 90% sure you can't take them both.
Yeah, so I was going to say in the world that you have to choose between the two, I can't envision a situation. But again, I'm a fucking noob. Maybe there's a elite MLG gamer play here that I'm unaware of. I can't envision a situation where you would ever forego Metamorphosis. I don't know.
You start channeling Chaos Bolt, and then you swap your rune mid channel.
Maybe they'll put matching back in, so you can
Yeah.
in a different pair of gloves right as it leaves, and then go into demon form.
That's the play.
Very
Just
good.
do like a swap
Very
macro.
good.
I think I'm gonna have to head out. It got a little bit later than.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No,
planned.
thank you so much, mate. You do your thing. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. It's been great, and looking forward to hear the rest of the call. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Catch you, mate.
Bye.
All right, Wacklo, you're on your own here. You got to carry this for the last 15, 20 minutes.
Oh God.
Mate, it's all good. I'll make it easy on you. Look, we've discussed tanking pretty in depth. I just want to say one last thing. It's not so much about tanking, but about Metamorphosis. Look, everyone is starting to lowly grumble and maybe more loudly grumble about the potential for Warlock PvP with Metamorphosis. Everyone's going, mate, this is going to be fucking broken. What is happening in PvP with Metamorphosis? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a problem into physical classes. Not that warlocks who are spec'd into SL like ever lost duels in vanilla. Basically, like Soul Link is just so powerful, and Deep Demo is so powerful. But yeah, they'll be even better into melee. They'll have an insane amount of armor. They'll have the damage sharing with their pet on top of it. They'll still have all their dots, even if they can't, Shadow Bolt you or Searing Pain you from range. That's not a huge deal. Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really good. But everything is so shaken up. You know what I mean? It's very hard for me to like get a firm opinion on, this is going to be the best. This is going to be the meta. Everything's just going to be so different.
Are you going to be PvPing much, Wacklo?
I hope so. I hope the PvP servers don't just go like all Horde or all Alliance and begin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the events, the open world events, sound like a great idea. Look like a lot of fun.
So maybe outside of, I'm not sure if you were looking at that Metamorphosis build for your Warlock, what Warlock build or automatically now sort of is screaming out to you as something you'd like to try in PvP?
I think in PvP, Conflag, even in original vanilla, was always a lot of fun. For those who don't know, Conflag like eats your Immolate debuff and does a fair amount of burst damage. I think it'll be even better with all these fire buffs we're getting, and Chaos Bolt on top of it. I think Conflag Warlocks are going to be like the new elemental shamans. If nothing changes, the burst is just so crazy.
Mate, I tried Conflag
until level 40.
I tried Conflag for the first time. I had a Warlock in Classic that I played a little bit in Phase 6 just through ZG runs casually, but I'd never tried the Conflag spec, and I tried it out on the PTR the other day, and I was fucking shocked with how much fun it was. It just like ripped through mobs.
Yeah, it wasn't bad in vanilla. In organized PvP, like in Arathi Basin, it was actually pretty good, and it's only going to be way better. So yeah, I'm excited for it at level 40.
Yeah, Warlock tanking and conflag PvP would be the part that sells me on the lock. Axe, we'll give it another test, mate. How's your mic now?
I restarted my phone.
Oh, beautiful.
I was going to say that I think actually what I'm planning on doing is PvPing in Metamorphosis, but with all of the fire, runes everywhere else.
Yeah.
Because that just, to me, that seems like about as much fun as you could possibly have. With that added tankiness and that added burst kind of simultaneously.
That's the way. Mate, Axe, we haven't really discussed many of the other runes. We should probably just touch on a few. Like, what runes have we not discussed yet that also kind of make you quite excited?
We haven't touched on any of the affliction stuff, which I think has been the things people are least excited about out of the different options. But I personally have always loved affliction. Like, with outside of trying to tank, affliction is actually the thing that I would most enjoy doing. And they actually have quite, I don't know if it'll be better or as good as the fire stuff, but they have quite a slew of runes now that you can pick together, which I think is very cool. Between what is it, everlasting? No, the haunt with your improved corruption, the fact that you can make your drain life a dot now.
Yep, everlasting affliction as well. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if you would even need everlasting affliction. Like, it might even be worth putting like demonic pact just for that little bit of extra spell power. But that's the other thing, is there's clearly a hint at something like a wrath demo lock down the line, which is something I have my speculations about.
I love seeing demonic pact there. Sorry, Wacklow, you go, mate.
I was going to say the opposite. I'm really worried about demonic pact.
Oh, really? Do go on. You'll know more than me, mate.
Well, it's just, I'm thinking of, like TBC itis, when you have a million buffs that are really important for your raid, but they're all group wide. So are we going to end up in a place, if they keep demonic pact as is, if they give boomkin something to make them viable, where every caster group has to have one moonkin and one demo lock?
True,
and so your raid needs like 4 demo locks. It just
right, and now becomes like the shaman with TBC thing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. I hadn't thought of that. Oh, well, now I sound like a fool. All right, fuck you, demonic pact. No, I like it. I mean, it's on paper, it's great, but as you say, in theory, there are issues behind that one. Guys, I look at, where were we? Demonic Tactics is perfect for a fuckwit like me who loves his passives. It seems very strong, but really it seems tooled to a certain kind of play style, as they all do, I guess. But does anyone sort of care much about Demonic Tactics?
Go ahead, Axe. I've been talking.
Well, I was just gonna say, I look forward to Demonic Tactics like at a later point in the game when they likely add additional runes, because I think it's foreshadowing like the Felguard.
Oh, sorry, that's the one you meant. Yeah, got you. My bad.
Well, no. I mean, Demonic Tactics and Demonic Pact obviously work very well together, right? But those both came into the game initially with the Felguard, so I don't know if they would bring it in. I would actually prefer if they didn't, and like maybe added some runes that made your existing demons like permanent, like your Inferno or your Doomguard. Like I saw a Reddit thread about that I thought was interesting. But I played Demonology in Wrath, which is part of why I like Metamorphosis already, and I think there is a lot of interesting things, but I don't know if at 25 is really where you're going to see it. Like, I mean, you can have a hard-hitting succubus, but
mate, we'll move shift into the next gear. And on that note, what abilities from TBC or Wrath, or even ability you might have concocted of your own, do you hope and pray are coming to Season of Discovery, given what we've seen and what the roadmap might be for Warlocks?
Demonic Gateway would be the big one. It's a real like feel good ability. Everyone likes having mobility, and it's very class appropriate. You know, it's not like blink or charge where you're like dashing. It's very like tactical and requires planning ahead. I just think it's a really fun ability too.
Very good. Axe, how about you?
I think that's a good answer. I mean, I think my answer was already like different demon things.
The Felguard
I
stuff,
guess
yeah.
one of my favorite things about Wrath Demonology Warlock was the fact that you had an execute with Soulfire. If they brought a rune that enabled that, I mean, it would probably just make fire even, way too good. But I always enjoyed actually getting to use your Soulfires.
All right. Anything else? Do you think there's abilities that won't make the cut from Wrath Wacklow that they might have been, like I'm saying, if you put on the dev hat and you're staring at, let's say, like I guess it's both TBC and Wrath abilities, what would you be tempted to throw in, and what do you think might not quite fit what they're building here?
This isn't exactly answering it because I think it would fit what they're building, but I think Soul Shatter doesn't really fit the vanilla vibe very well. Threat is, much more of an issue in vanilla than any other iteration of the game, and giving Warlocks a get out of jail free card just kind of feels bad, especially since they're like the threat class, the non-tank threat class.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that would be a mistake.
Fair enough. Axe, how about you?
I'll just reiterate, I think actually adding the Felguard would, it would feel cool, but it's kind of like the same discussions people have around like two-handed hands versus dual wield of like, it'll be good, it'll be something we know, and it'll feel fun, but I feel like it won't quite be in the spirit of like, I'd rather they make my Inferno now a pet you actually use regularly, or
Right.
something along those lines.
Which, I mean, I think you've probably already answered the question a little bit, but Wacklow, which spec do you think won the most from what we've seen so far up to level 25? Affliction, Demo, or Destro?
I think Destro and Demo both look really good. I think Demo looks like an amazing tank. I don't know if it'll be the best, but it'll definitely be like very playable and fun. And then Destro, Shadow Bolt Volley looks insane. Chaos Bolt looks insane. I think, given what they've put in here, like I don't want to presume a ton of Wrath lock knowledge, but they put in Soul Siphon, which increases drain soul and drain life damage based on the number of dots you have up. That only really works if you also put the execute on drain soul in the game. So they'll probably put that in later. Dots in vanilla just scale like shit, so you kind of have to put like a crit modifier of some sort on them if you want it to be viable later. So yeah, I really think Affley is going to struggle. I don't want to make like too hard of a prediction, but I don't see Affley being very good.
Okay, Axe, same question. Who won the most, Destro, Demo, or Affliction?
I don't disagree. I think probably Destro at the end of the day, just because you don't need to be demonology to take the Metamorphosis rune, right? But I do think almost every single build will likely go 21 points into demonology at endgame, if only for sacrifice. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, because early game everyone's going to want like improved Searing Pain, right? All of the tanks are probably going to just go Destro.
What do you think the chances are of seeing, along the lines of what you've been saying, Axe, where you're really hoping you get some really cool demonology and demon stuff? What do you think the odds are of seeing a new demon, not just a demon from another expansion, but a new demon introduced into the mix?
I mean, I'd be all for it. I don't expect it at all. I personally think, nothing against the devs. I think they're doing incredible things, but I personally know I am a very lazy person. So I am almost always going to choose the path of least resistance, or the thing that's easiest to do. And I think that's often just taking things you already know work rather than trying to build something, reinvent the wheel. Which is why, for me, I almost feel that, I've brought up the Inferno like 3 times now. I think that's the kind of thing where you're not truly reinventing the wheel, but it is something actually new, where we've had it since vanilla and we've never really used it for anything other than harassing people. And so you could add a rune where maybe you remove the impact of it coming up, you remove the cooldown, and you remove the fact that it loses that you have to re-enslave it after the fact. And now you take what was a demon that you've always had that you've never really used and now made it a part of your kit. And I think that would feel really new while still staying within the vanilla confines.
Well, that fits the
Yeah.
bill. Sorry, you go, Wacklo.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, you could do that. You could also do like a total subjugation rune or something, make it so that enslave or subjugate demon, like gives you a slot to summon that demon, so you get like a hunter pet, basically.
Oh, that would be great. That would be super cool.
It also fits the bill, Axe, of what we were talking about with the Warriors, where I was like, I really do think one of the major goals of the Classic team through the Season of Discovery design process has been to, give a shot in the arm to either underused abilities or abilities that we fucking delete off our bars. And, something like what you've described would really fit that bill, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, I guess maybe part of the reason I'm so obsessed with this is the thing I miss in Metamorphosis is the immolation aura. So I just want to get it somehow.
Fair enough.
But it would be very unique and interesting. And I'd say right now the least supported spec is actually like demonology DPS. It's something that definitely exists, in TBC and Wrath.
Hey, Wacklo, which class scares you the most in PvP?
It might just
a
be Paladin.
warlock, as a warlock, obviously.
Oh, I'm thinking an organized PvP Paladin, I think, is just going to be so good. In a 1v1, I don't know, hard to say. Warriors with a healer. I keep going to organized. I don't know. It looks really good, honestly. I don't know what would be really good in a 1v1 into this monster.
I definitely am afraid of paladins cleansing my drain life and then having to wait 15 more seconds before I can drain life again.
True. Okay, guys, we'll start to hit the home stretch here on this one. Wacklo, is there anything we haven't discussed that we would get our asses kicked for not bringing up during this Warlock conversation?
I don't think there's anything huge that we've missed. There's one more thing I'd want to say. It's that I really like the simplicity of Classic, so I hope Athlete in particular doesn't get like too out of control, because like Wrath Athlete is, it's not a retail spec, but it's pretty intense.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
Anything in vanilla, yeah. It's like if you brought in Wrath Enhance into vanilla, it's a fun spec. It's a great spec, but like, would you want to play it in a vanilla world? I personally wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I said the same thing just the other day, where I was like, look, don't get me wrong, I loved Wrath Enhance, but realistically, it probably has one or two buttons too many. It's pretty fucking involved.
Yeah.
And Athlete is definitely along the same lines. Axe, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I agree. I could see them maybe adding like Unstable Affliction. But I wonder if that already starts to cross the line, or if that's kind of where the limit is. I guess, if you don't have the execute phase, then maybe not as.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're more likely to add that than Unstable Affliction, just with the runes we already have.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, if I had to do the move where we've been doing it in some of the other calls, if you had to bet your house on an ability that is absolutely going to come to Season of Discovery, like, right, I'm putting my butt on the line, here's $1 million, I fucking know this ability is coming, which one would you say?
Well, probably the execute on Drain Soul, but that's like not exactly an ability, it's more of a talent.
I don't know, I like it. How about you, Wacklo?
I'm trying to think. Shadow Fury, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a lot of fun, not that strong. That's a crowd pleaser, and not that strong in most circumstances.
All right. Does the popularity of Warlocks not concern you guys? But have you factored this in at all? Do you think everyone and their mother is going to play a Warlock?
I think people underrate. Sorry if you can hear that in the background.
That's all right.
Just how much people are averse to tanking.
Yes.
Like, I know we have a lot of tanks, but you're probably going to need 2 for every 10 man. and we've never had enough tanks in the game for that. It's always been an issue. So even if it's like 20% of people play Warlocks or something crazy like that, I think we'll have plenty of room as long as you're willing to tank.
I think we're going to lose a lot of these players who have stars in their eyes about tanking on a new, tanking spec in Season of Discovery. So you tank shamans, you tank rogues, you tank warlocks. I think we're going to lose half of them in the first fucking week or two. And when I say lose them, I mean not that they'll quit the game, but they'll quit tanking because they'll dip their feet back in the water. They'll do, a handful of dungeons as the warlock tank or whatever. And they'll go like, oh, okay, that was fun. Anyway, back to DPS. I could just see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, in vanilla, every fucking account had a level 60 warrior, and there were no tanks. So
Yeah, they're always looking for group for tanks.
Absolutely.
yeah, DPS warrior looking for Hodge run.
I think I picked the perfect time of my WoW life cycle to fall in love with tanking. I'd never really tanked until sort of relatively recently, and I fell in love with healing, and that was great. And I was like, all right, I think I'm ready to upgrade to tanking. I'm so glad that I fucking loved it. Now this really does sort of feel like the season of tanking. So I've got so many options up my sleeve. I'm really, really happy as a tank player. And like you say, I'm not terribly fussed by this, concern that now I'll struggle to get a dungeon as a tank because everyone's doing it. No, not everyone wants a tank because it's a fucking headache.
Yeah, what are you planning on playing?
I'm maining a warrior, and I will have a shaman tank as well.
Both look very fun.
They do. I'm all about, like I said, I'm all about that Molten Blast, and if warriors get Shockwave, I'll just fucking die happy. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Axe, how about you, mate? Is there anything we're left on the table with Warlocks that we absolutely must discuss before we go, or are we good?
You had one little thing, because I was doing a little bit of research, and I guess this is mostly just like, because I know the devs listen in on your podcast, just imploring them to really, really, not get lazy and put in the work on itemization. Because one thing I'd been looking into that just really surprised me was looking at the clam weave tunic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which has 130 armor. And I just decided to look at, well, what does rank 14 gear have for armor? What does tier 3 Nax gear have for armor, right? And tier 3 Nax has 138 armor, right? As compared to the 130 off of the clam weave tunic, which with the 2 points of agility winds up giving you more total armor than your tier 3 Nax gear would.
That's a good point.
And the rank 14 gear was the only gear. I forgot it was like 140 something or 150. It was the only piece of gear I could find that actually had more mitigation on it than the clam weave tunic does.
Yeah, but what's more vanilla than a level like 19 item being your best at endgame?
Oh, I guess someone in the Andrew Grid in the chat is saying Iron Weave, which I did not look at. I immediately checked like the biggest, highest highest eye level gear, but it's the kind of thing where it's easily fixable. They just put in gear. I think that's something to really pay attention to, because otherwise if you have to rank to get good tanking gear, a lot less warriors are going to want to do it, or a lot less warlocks.
Wouldn't it be the funniest move of all time if the clam weave tunic was bis for warlock tanks all through the game?
I'd love it.
It would be amazing. All right, I'm glad you added that, Axe. Very well said, mate. All right, guys. Well, I think we've just about done it. Wacklow, we can confidently end it there. No one's going to kill us, right?
Yeah, I think that was pretty comprehensive.
All right. Guys, as I've been saying, these are more like, we're not really diving in too deep on the meta and the sweatiness for these calls. It's more just about like what looks fun and, selling these classes on everything they've got to every different player to sort of encourage you to try them all. We're not worried about DPS, we're worried about FPS. It's fun per second. So the Warlocks look like a hell of a lot of fun. You should give one a try. Let me thank the guests for being here, and then we'll move into the rogue chat. Axe, mate, sorry about all the mic issues. Must be so frustrating, but I'm glad you powered through it, mate. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for sticking with me and letting me come back in once I restarted my phone again.
No, all good, mate. And Wacklow, always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, great to be here as always, and congrats on the Clemson win.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I keep forgetting my little Clemson hat shows in the background here when I stream, doesn't it? Wearing my...
I'm actually not watching the stream. I just remembered you said you went to Clemson.
Oh, yeah. My I show my Clemson allegiance on stream every day when I do it. But yeah, Clemson, look, they might not be the powerhouse that they were a couple of years ago, but you know, a win's a win.
Yeah, I mean UNC is a good team.
Oh, and you know, because I went to Clemson, I'm now like I have to hate UNC with every fiber of my being.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, mate.
I like Duke in basketball, so similar feelings.
Oh yeah, I can't stand fucking Duke. You and I will have to talk some basketball later on. The NBA season has been a lot of fun so far, and it's so early.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. All right, guys, we'll leave it there before it breaks out into sports talk radio, and we'll bring in the rogues. All right, here we go. All right, thanks Axe, thanks Wacklow. I've ended the recording there. I really appreciate that, guys. You're fucking legends.
Yeah, of course, it was a lot of fun. Sorry about my mic issue. But
No, all
the
good.
others
It's
too.
just a bad luck day for Discord for everyone.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. Good to meet you, Axe.
All right, we've got the rogues in
And
here.
with that, I'll hop off.
Yeah,
Thanks,
too
Dan.
easy. Catch you later, Wacklow. Thanks, mate. Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, what up, Josh?
Oh, you sound like you're calling from space. Hang on.
Oh, wow,
I can
Sorry.
barely hear you.
that's weird.
It sounds like you're 50 meters away from the microphone.
For now,
That's a little bit better.
I mean, I'm just using my headset, so I don't know
Okay.
why it would sound like that.
Hang on,
I have
I can turn you up. That should be better.
Hello.
Yeah, that's all good. If you can push the mic as close to your mic as close to your mouth as you can, that'd be all good. But otherwise you're fine.
It's a headset, so not really. I can't really do much more.
Oh no, that's all good. You're fine now. Yeah, some of those headsets have flexible little mics and some don't. So I don't know.
I mean, it's like flexible, but like it's already like like centimeters away from just like eating it.
And you know what? And that's why you sound amazing right now.
All right.
All right. Hey, Ubiquitous, can you hear me, mate?
Yep.
Hey, mate, what's cracking?
Not a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, it's good to have you. Sorry for fucking making you wait. I woke up at I've been waking up at 3 o'clock. I've got terrible insomnia. I've been waking up at 3 o'clock every fucking morning. So I fell back asleep at like 6:30 and woke up late, and we started half an hour late. Sorry about that.
No stress at all.
All good. All right, let's get cracking, gents. Bear with me and we'll start it up. All right. The time has come for the final class call. A fucking marathon weekend for me. 3 hours on Friday, 3 hours on Saturday, and now 3 hours on Sunday. And we are wrapping up with an exciting class, a good one, the Rogue. A class that I've been wanting to find every reason to play in Season of Discovery, but it just keeps getting beaten out by some others that I love a bit more, but maybe these guys will talk me around during this phone call. Let's introduce our guest. You all know him. You all love him. Mike, Balls of Steel. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you doing, Josh?
Doing good, mate. I'm very pumped for how pumped you're going to be during this call when we start talking about Rogue Tank. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And joining Mike, we have first-time caller. You guys know I fucking love it. I love it when first-timers get involved with the show. You know, it's really great getting people dip their feet in the waters and expand the listener base and the caller base of Countdown to Classic. So thank you so much. Ubiquitous, mate. How are you?
Good. Long time listener since the first episode, so happy to be a contributor for once.
Mate, it's been brilliant, and you can see that like the hype behind Season of Discovery has really manifested itself in that way for a lot of the Countdown to Classic listeners. I've been getting a fuckload of DMs over the last 2 weeks going like, mate, I've been with you since day one, would love to get involved, fucking, been listening since episode 3, so hyped for all this Season of Discovery chat. It's really, really nice that it's brought out all the OG listeners and they've reached out and said they're still sticking with the show. So, my thanks to you, Ubiquitous, and to everyone else out there that's in the same boat. I'm touched that nearly 6 years later, you guys are all still there. And, the show's listener base has pretty much been right around that 5,000 mark for years now. It's just this really core crew that we pack into like a mini stadium for every Countdown episode. And I love you all so much for it. But guys, let's dive straight into it with the Rogue. Mike, the question. Let's hear what the answer is going to be. Why does Rogue look fun in Season of Discovery?
Because I get to be the main tank, baby. I want to be the main tank. I am getting Thunder Fury, for God's sakes.
Oh, let's discuss that a little bit later on, the Thunder Fury thing for sure. Mate, tell me, it's all well and good. You got to be the main tank, but do you think it looks fun the way in which they've rolled it out to you?
I think it's interesting that we basically have a new finisher to keep up as a tank, which is definitely in a pretty rogue flavor. It's probably going to be one of the most active tanks to play because you have to keep up a finisher to even get like the mitigation from your rune. So you have to be sort of vigilant with what you're doing, making sure you're keeping that up. Otherwise, you just suddenly lose like your 20% damage reduction and stuff like that. So it's if you're gonna play a rogue tank, you have to pay attention more than like other tanks probably have to like really do your roles, in my opinion.
Yeah, I equated it a lot to like what we literally were just discussing, the Wrath Affliction lock, where you are just spinning so many plates on your timers with all your dots that are up. I feel like this rogue tank looks relatively similar. Maybe not quite as hectic, but in the same vein.
So from this is credit to Simon Eyes, from someone who's already started theory crafting for like the level 25 bracket, and the way it is right now, as far as we can see with the runes, is you're not actually gonna have to spin that many plates, because you can't generate that much energy and combo points to keep up multiple finishers at this point. So right now, if you're just like a rogue tank, it seems like all you have to do is just keep up Blade Dance. Is your number one priority. Other than holding threat on mobs.
Which sounds right, yeah. Slice and dice would be secondary for sure.
No, like you just like probably never even have to press slice and dice.
Oh yeah. But like it was always going to take a backseat to Blade Dance anyway.
And also though, slice and dice actually might take a backseat to other finishers now. So even as a DPS.
Oh, there you go. Very good. Well, look, we'll get into the rogue tank stuff in the specific soon. Ubiquitous, mate. Same question. I'm not sure if it's the tank aspect or something else about rogue that has you licking your lips for Season of Discovery. Why does it look fun, mate?
I've been biased to playing Dagger Rogue as long as it's viable, so I didn't have much fun in TBC. But just getting to press more than backstab 5 times in a row into slice and dice, repeat indefinitely forever. The fact that there's more going on than that is what will be fun. And yeah, just there's some things that are the same. The typical burst windows, Adrenaline Rush with Blade Flurry. Obviously, that's further down the line. We don't know how or what runes we'll have crossing over with that. But yeah, just the fact that things overlap nicely, like getting Mutilate and Envenom with the Deadly Brew rune and all that stuff. Yeah, lots of more smaller batches of numbers on the screen than just a backstab every, 6 seconds with the energy regen. So yeah, just more going on.
Mate, what is it with the Dagger Rogues? I find that they're a very excitable crowd and they feel very niche. It's sort of like the almost like the two-handed shaman enjoyers out there, where they're very loud and proud when someone, it's like when, the singer on stage at the concert yells out the name of your town and goes, "Hello, Brisbane. Woo, they said our name. All right." And every time someone says Dagger Rogue, the Dagger goes, "Yeah, they fucking said dagger rogues. I love the energy behind it. It's certainly like it's a certain play style, isn't it? Over it's very different to your swords and whatnot.
Yeah, for me personally, it's just so that I don't have to argue with warriors about who gets what weapon as much, because they can squabble with the combat bros over swords and such. Yeah, it's just, I guess I like the bigger number in a backstab, at least in classic era, than sinister strike, and then just loot congestion helps out a bit.
Fair enough, Mike. How would you describe the dagger road crowd? You got to love them.
I mean, combat daggers is very good in like OG vanilla, and honestly with mutilate and venom, I think dagger rogue, like mutilate assassination dagger rogues are going to be amazing. They're going to be like serious pumpers.
All right. Well, look, Mike, we'll park rogue tanking for a little bit, and we'll ask a few of my questions that I've been asking everyone else. So we'll start with you, Mike, and just say, outside of what's the rune called for fucking rogue tanking? I've forgotten when I shouldn't. That's the one. Just a flesh wound.
All the Black Knight jokes.
Oh
as the rogue
my
tank.
goodness! Outside of just a flesh wound, what's the one or two runes that have really stood out to you that you're fucking gagging to try out?
Honestly, I'm not really gagging to really try out most of them. I mean, mutilate and venom is as just like a DPS. They're just fun. I guess Shadow Strike, when I decide to opt into PvP, that's just teleporting behind someone and just smacking them has always been fun.
Well, can I just ask about Shadow Strike? Shadow Step in TBC or whatever, that you didn't have to be stealth for that one, did you? Or am I getting that wrong?
I believe you are correct. I didn't PvP very much in TBC, so
just the stealth component of Shadow Strike doesn't enthuse me much.
Well, I don't think I think the difference between them, I don't think Shadow Step attacked when you used it.
Right.
Maybe you step behind them and it just makes your next ability do more damage than your movement speed.
So Shadow Strike has 150% weapon attack tacked onto it too.
Right, but is it a less sexy? Ubiquitous. I'll throw this to you. Is this a less sexy Shadow Step because you have to do it from stealth?
Definitely, and because it's got a weapon damage built into it, like it isn't an attacking ability.
Right.
You're thinking like it's weaker with daggers. It won't scale as well with daggers, so it's a bit iffy like that. Like teleporting behind someone sounds pretty mad if you're going to backstab them, but in Classic, you don't really want to equip a sword to use this ability from stealth when you could potentially just ambush them if you had a dagger instead anyway. But the mobility is definitely nice. So I think it's just more about that.
I can see some, obviously, like there are situational uses for it. Like if, I don't know, you were planning on opening on someone, you're crawling around them in stealth and they mount up and start to fuck off and you use this so they don't get away. I get that. Also, I get that you can be mid-combat, pop your vanish, and then do this for whatever reason. Like there are reasons to use it. I don't know, it just doesn't it doesn't speak to me. It doesn't yell out at me as something I really would sell me on Rogue.
Yeah, I think its shortcoming is that we have an abundance of nice buttons to press out of stealth already. Like, if you use this, it means that you're not going to ambush or cheat shot, which are two fantastic abilities already. So it will have its niche, like Gap Close, which is, in the Classic era, it's probably the biggest bane of Melee's existence is when the Frost Mage is just kiting you around with rank 1 Frost Bolts being a prick. So it's pretty big for, I guess, what era of the game we'll be playing in because mobility is so large. But yeah.
Mike, sorry I cut you off earlier. You was telling me more about other runes that you love the look of.
I was saying none of them are really that flashy. For like Between the Eyes seems kind of cool. That's because I've never played Rogue with a really a dedicated range finisher that seems to scale with your AP and stun, but maybe that's just a PvP ability because it takes up a rune slot. So probably just at a glance, probably the most interesting ones is Between the Eyes and Shadow Strike and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd agree with those two. They stand out the most, and they're both pretty PvP orientated.
All right. Nothing else that I mean, I'm sure they all look sexy to you, Ubiquitous, but anything else that we haven't discussed that you think is pretty cool?
I think I don't know, Rogue. I get the impression, at least for me, that Season of Discovery is going to have a heavy PvP flavor to it with the world zones and such. And I think Rogue's just gotten so much toolkit with Shiv as well. Shiv's exciting if you a try-hard arena player as a Rogue. So that's something else. I just thought I'd mention it. I'm not a arena Rogue player. I only play Shadow Priest. But yeah, Shiv is something I want to highlight for the PvPers listening.
Very good. All right, Mike, now's your chance. The Rogues get a huge addition in Season of Discovery in that they will be able to tank. It very much so seems to be the case that they will not just be sometimes tanks or off tanks or, can sort of not really half tank a dungeon. No, these will be tanks. I don't even know where to begin, Mike. Should I just let you take it away?
I mean, I'm just trying to think of where to start. I mean, obviously, like, for the kit that Rogue has at like 25, and I'm fully expecting we get something to help tank multiple mobs, whether it's just boringly Fan of Knives or some completely new ability that I've already been like cooking in my head that maybe they could add.
Well, let me push you on that one. Do you think this is a very hyperbolic question, but obviously there's a lot coming down the line that we don't know about, but do you think the Rogue tank is somewhat gimped if they don't get any form of an AoE ability later down the track?
Somewhat, yeah, but because the way combo points work right now, it's going to be a lot of tab targeting with multiple mobs, and you're never able to really build combo points on any one target because you have to hit all of them to get threat on them, so that people don't just rip off you. So it's a lot of just going to be putting just like moving your combo points around and just to get initial threat on stuff, and then having to really prioritize, like right now, hit skull please, so I don't have to keep hitting these other mobs and wasting my combo points and energy to keep tanking them all. So it's please hit skull first, don't AoE.
Sorry, keep going.
And basically until we get an ability like that, in a cleave ability in the Rogue style. And obviously I don't want just like a cleave ability because that makes no sense for Rogue. Please don't do that. Something like that.
It's a very it's a glaring issue right now, that big hole in the tank spec.
I think
as a combo point, like you said, change targets, lose your points on the other one, or it makes it very janky.
Well, let's dive in on that, Ubiquitous, because I asked this question of the Feral Druids yesterday, and a lot of people have sort of been wondering about this with regards to Season of Discovery, about the combo point system. Now, I fully expect the vanilla combo point system, but people are querying whether or not there's a slim chance Blizzard actually decides to go with sticky combo points or not, because of the existence of a rogue tank. And they're asking the same questions that you guys are. Like, rogue tank will obviously be a reasonably, perhaps skillful position if you are having to manage these combo points, unless they're sticky. What do you think they should do? What do you expect?
I think the combo points should be attached to the rogue, not the target.
Mike, hang on.
Sorry.
Sorry. It's Ubiquitous.
No, I was typing something anyway. It's one of those things. I love to speculate what they're going to hand us further down the line. There could be a host of things, whether it's sticky points on the target, and then potentially you could get a rune that lets you build points up on more than one target at once. So then as I'm tabbing, I've got 3 on this one, 4 on that one, 5 on that one, and you could preemptively know like to target to that one and put an eviscerate or something into it to boost its threat up. Or we could get a rune that transfers what you've built on one target onto another, potentially, or something down that avenue. I don't really just want to see rogues get a cleave because we have combo points. Unless it's a very weak cleave, but then that kind of makes it redundant anyway. I don't think it's fair that I can build up 5 combo points on a target while cleaving 4 and then dump massive threat into my primary target on top of that. It seems a bit overpowered, depending on the tuning. So I'm not sure. I think that's a couple of avenues they could take, but yeah, it remains to be seen. And I do like Fan of Knives currently in Wrath of the Lich King, but I'm not sure. With classic energy restoration, it would have to have its energy tuned significantly, because otherwise it would do dick or nothing. You'd cast it once every 6 seconds and it wouldn't really put that much threat on the side ads. So, not sure.
Fair enough. Mike, I'm sorry. I know you're keen as beans, mate. I shouldn't hold you back. Go for it.
Oh, so we were just talking about like how to
The combo
solve
points, yeah.
solve this. But yeah, I think it should just be the rogue are generating combo points as like a resource like holy paladins do with holy power and cataclysm, where we're generating the combo points and then just spending them on our targets rather than putting combo points on our targets and then losing them when we switch. I think would just solve all the problems with that, in my opinion.
Right, so you'd be an advocate for sticky.
Yes, I'd be an advocate for sticky combo points. Absolutely, yeah. I think, and also already some of the stuff I've been cooking in my head to sort of fix the AOE for Rogue was one that was like, it's an ability that like has a cooldown, costs energy, builds up charges every time you parry or dodge, and then after you get a certain amount of charges, you like instantly attack back all of the mobs that you're fighting. So I'm just like it's like a multi-target riposte sort of, but you have to like build up to it.
Are you looking forward to weaving in a fucking riposte every 1.5 seconds, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna riposte is so good.
It's gonna pop all the time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I was just messing around with the Season of Discovery 60s planner, and I think at level 25, not even choosing like the ridiculous 0.1% world drops, just gear with agility on it, you can get your rogue at about 71% avoidance with its 2 abilities up at the moment. But that's the other glaring hole that is an issue. I don't know if you want to move to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to talk about it at some stage, so I'm glad you've raised it organically, mate. Like everyone's talking about what's going to happen at 60, you know, and I've actually been rather interested in this topic because everyone is saying, oh, mate, vanilla rogues already on certain fights could get 100% avoidance, and you know, then you've got you know, even though it's not vanilla, people go, oh, druids in Sunwell and vanilla rogues in Nax, like you know, what are they going to do? It's broken, and like they're going to have a 100% avoidance constant uptime rogue tank, and I'm like, I really don't think that they're going to break a game by having an unhittable tank, but like I'd love to hear the discussion on this one, so go nuts, mate.
So it's already 100% possible in just straight 180 vanilla WoW. It's just the capping problem was that you'd do 500 DPS and the threat was really crap. But because the rogue is technically unhittable, you didn't have to worry about enrage timers. You could take 20 minutes to kill Brutalis and Sunwell if the rogue never got hit. Who cares? But now that problem's solved in that we'll generate good threat, and that's before you factor in that now we get, I think it's 20% parry, and the fact that you'll be talenting towards more hit and stuff, more mischance, you'll be able to put on more attack power orientated gear than just stacking the absolute crap out of agility. So the threat will be way better, your personal DPS will be better, and I can't see a way in which we don't become unhittable unless there is tuning down the line. Like maybe they will just in raids give us the Sunwell debuff of just like minus 20% dodge or something. But that opens another can of worms of what good is a tank if you're unhittable, and then when they do hit you 1 out of 10 times, you just almost die.
So I need to get a better understanding on this, because like we're talking about you become unhittable when you need to pop evasion, right, to get there, yeah?
No, this is just base avoidance with enough agility.
Perfect, even better. That's what I mean. So like even without hitting evasion, my point is like I am presuming surely as a game designer you have to scale or tune this or do whatever you do with the numbers to put yourself in a position where you don't have a selectable tank in a raid that literally never gets hit unless it's by a magical ability or whatnot, because he can hold threat, he's invincible, and the raid just waltzes through the content. Like, that breaks the game. Wouldn't you think that they absolutely will do something to make that not a thing?
I'm certain that they will. I just don't know how they can without then just gutting the spec, because like I said, is what if it's a 98% avoidable damage, and then 2% of the time you get one shot. You just not roll the dice and have that tank. So I'm not really sure how they're going to go about it. That's what I've been trying to think about it, like how you could give a rune or nerf this or that. I have no idea how they're going to make a rogue tank viable at level 60, but maybe they're still figuring that out as well. Or they've already got it in the chamber and they're having a giggle at us thinking that will be untouchable.
True. Mike, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Tell me, I mean, I know Ubiquitous, you understand what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they'll do something about it. They have to.
Yeah, right? Mike, you hear what I'm saying, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
The lazy way they would do is they just do it the same way they did for ICC and Sunwell. Is just you nerf your dodge by 20%. You're still dodging a lot as a tank. Because I mean that's what Feral Druids did. That's why they had to put that in. Because by Sunwell and ICC, Feral Druids could have gotten 100% dodge if they wanted to. So they had to put in the 20% dodge reduction, like debuff aura for the whole while you're in the raid the whole time. So if they could just do that for 60 raids, if they just wanted to just blanketly deal with that in a very unelegant but simple way. How other ways they would deal with it, I don't know. Give melee bosses like overpower style abilities, so like the rogue is still taking damage.
Yeah, the only problem I see with later game rogue tanking is that just the flesh wound, it only reduces physical damage you take by 20%. I'm pretty sure like a rogue taking 20% less damage still gets one shot by patchwork. So even if we're not dodging, even with this damage reduction, we're still useless. I have no idea how they're gonna tune this mess. It's fun, it's interesting, but I don't know what they've got up their sleeve for it, because they'll definitely have something.
They're throwing darts at their season of discovery board in the office, trying to figure it out now.
Yeah, and just to go back to vein of what Mike brought up, rogue tank, I agree in that it's a little bit more active in that we've got to maintain this just a flesh wound via combo points. If you think like if you had Tricks of the Trade and Misdirection in Classic, you could just send your warrior up the front with a shield, do nothing, and as long as he had threat, they wouldn't die. Whereas that won't be possible with a rogue. You need to continue your rotation and keep these buffs up on yourself.
Do you mean maintain Blade Dance? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, Blade Dance, but you only get the damage reduction while that's active via the other rune as well. But if you let Blade Dance fall off, you will just die like any other DPS rogue. So it is a bit more, I guess, you can't afford to have any gaps, but it's not particularly hard to maintain. So just thought I'd mention that. I was going to at the start, but
no, fair enough. Mike, just to round out on tank rogues, please obviously say anything that we haven't talked about that you're busting to discuss. The one thing I want to throw in, and we can't say anything until we play the class, and also the wording of just a flesh wound is incredibly vague, because it just says the threat generated by all your actions is massively increased. So, I mean, I don't want to I'm not trying to frame this negatively, but I'm really intrigued by rogue threat. Do you think the rogue could potentially have threat issues compared to other tanks, or not at all?
No, I don't think you have. If I'm giving the classic dev team all the faith and credit in the world here, I don't think rogues will have any issues keeping threat once they're really dedicated to hitting a mob.
Fair enough, mate. What have we not discussed about the rogue tank that we've got to say? We've covered it all.
I mean, I'm just more speculation here. I'm really hoping like they make the rogue tank. They give us more abilities that care about dodging and parrying, and as ways to like just stylistically survive and like new attacks with that way to tank. Like I want like a cooldown where it's like after I like parry a certain amount of times, I can just like I can just unleash some I don't know, some interesting ability to just like, even if it's just threat, something like that. I just want more stuff. Like I just want to be Neo from the Matrix the whole time, basically. When I just imagine myself as a rogue tank.
Fair enough.
There's so much up in the air. I really hope with like tier sets that like there's a rogue tank for like, oh, like they just itemize it so like, you know, we could just, there's no worry, like, you know, Ubiquitous is saying about tanking Patchwork and just being another DPS rogue. I think they really have to hone in on itemization with the rogue tank. Give us, you know, more armor if they have to, or give us like set bonuses that give us cool things when we dodge or parry. So that's just been my main thoughts with rogue tank. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think definitely something needs to be done with combo points. If it's even if it's just for rogue tanks, is basically what I've been cooking on.
No.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it.
Very well said. Very well said. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to the non-rogue tank, the regular rogue. Ubiquitous, mate. Who do you think? Again, just from the very limited information we have regarding these runes up to level 25. Who do you think won the most? Assassination, subtlety, or combat?
Well, I think we will likely be playing. You probably made Seal Fate, which is assassination, a little bit more viable, but that's much more late game. Sorry. At 25, I think we kind of talent pretty similarly. If you want to be a dagger rogue and go the mutilate and venom path, I think you go into an assassination to get some energy back with finishes. I feel like if you're just a combat sword rogue, you've drawn the boring straw. It's not necessarily much shorter, but I mean they've just gotten Saber Slash, which is just a bleed that they stack up instead of using a Sinister Strike. But other than that, it looks like it's the exact same gameplay as before. The Simon did drop his Season of Discovery spreadsheet simulator this morning, so I've been messing around with that.
What did it have to say?
Surprisingly, play whatever you want. They're all pretty good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit different from Wrath, where you're trying to simulate like 16k DPS, and now we're simulating 110 versus 108. But I mean, that's a percent and a bit different. If that's the difference for you personally, not to get too bogged down in the numbers, but yeah, it seems like it'll be the same old classic where if you're a dagger enjoyer, you can play daggers. If you're a sword enjoyer, you can play swords, and they're both pretty equal. So, but yeah, personally, I feel like combat, just getting Saber Slash and nothing new is a bit bland for level 25 compared to the new exciting shit everyone else got.
Okay, Mike, how about you? Who do you think won the most? I mean, obviously we can go by Simon Eyes' sheet. I'm sure Simon Eyes fucking, did all the research and he absolutely knows what he's talking about. Play them all might be the answer, but in your heart of hearts, just on maybe face value, who do you think won the most?
Oh, I think assassination rogues. I think getting mutilate and envenom is just like such a win, because assassination was such a like it was such a doo-doo talent tree and spec in vanilla that I think like giving us these dedicated abilities to really prop up the spec and actually have it be, I'm just gonna, like I said, full faith in the devs. I think it's gonna be really good, and it'll be more fun to play than combat backstab, because you also have more combo points to play with, and you care more about poisons. So I think assassinations getting the nice glow up. Not like paladin level glow up.
I don't think anything's close to paladin.
But adding mutilate and venom, I think, is a big win as a rogue enjoyer.
You go, man.
just to provide something of a negative note, in my opinion. Just to have two sides of the coin. Rogue has always been pretty turd to level, like 1 to 20 forever, because you only get dual wield at level 10, and then you don't get poisons until low 20s, depending on when you can complete the quest. So Rogue's in a pretty rough patch in the 1 to 20 because, like, Mutilate's useless before 10, and even then you'll probably just be trying to level with swords. And then the amount of runes that to do with poisons are completely pretty much irrelevant until we get into BFD later on, because you literally don't have them. You're not crafting any yet to be able to use those runes. So I'm curious to see if they've, like, if you're getting Deadly Brew rune before level 20, that's a bit crappy. But it's very minor things, like you'll get to level 25 real fast. But I just thought I'd mention that, in that Rogue looks okay at 25. It's just going to suck balls until 24.
Fair enough. Mike, I do agree with you on the assassination point. I am keen to try assassination rogue. Look, I mean, who the fuck am I kidding? I'm going to have a rogue at 25. We all know it. I mean, it's funny because obviously I sit here and go like, oh, what 2 or 3 classes am I going to pick? And all my mates have been sort of whispering me going like, fuck off, dickhead. You know you're going to have one of every class. And I'm like, ugh, fine, you got me. But yeah, I'm really excited to try Assassination Rogue. I might just resurrect the tank. Sorry, guys, we'll come back to this in 1 second. Put a pin in it. I just want to resurrect the tank conversation for 1 second because I'm being rude and not injecting questions from the audience when I should do that. Thank you very much, by the way, for the kind words, Sacred Grove brothers. I really appreciate that, mate. Good to have you here. FoxDude92, Mike, asked the following. Listen up. What about a combo point spender that acts like Slice and Dice, but does minimal AoE cleaving with increased threat? So your combo point spender would be giving you a temporary buff that allows you to cleave for threat primarily and damage second. What do you think about that?
I think that would be fine. I think they would just have to. I think I'd really want them to stylize it that it's like, maybe like it's a buff that you can maintain that was like the unfair advantage talent in TBC and Wrath, where whenever you dodge or parry, you get to strike back the target. I think it would be a cool way rather than just hitting multiple things. And maybe just like, I don't know, somehow have it not be as broken as it was in TBC because they had to nerf it. Because it wasn't on the GCD and it was just very broken when you pulled enough mobs. I really want something like that. So like I don't have to be sitting there tab targeting the whole time to be hitting every mob, and just like every time I'm dodging or parrying a mob, I'm just hitting it straight back to like hold. So like once I get threat on multiple mobs, I could just do my thing. I think would be a really cool way to stylize Rogue Tank.
And Ubiquitous, what about this one from Sneaky Bard, who says, how about giving rogues a way to be able to take glancing blows or just have defense rating do something different with them?
Yeah, that'd probably be a pretty good route, because it kind of, I guess it thematically suits a rogue, that you'd cop a glancing blow, like half dodging it, an unsuccessful dodge, we'll call it. That's a pretty good avenue for him to look down. Creating a unique interaction with defense rating for one specific class, that would be interesting to see the classic devs do, because that's another whole, like that's a leap into a new field entirely, rather than it just applying the you can't be crit default to everyone that equips it. Yeah, it's a solid idea. I'm open to all these things. Like I just sit here and I just think, like, with how much they've just shaken the bottle of classic, nothing can really be ruled out in what they'd be willing to sample. In terms, I don't know if someone else has coined it, but my SOD is season of development, because as far as I'm aware, this is just classic plus beta, where they're going to try everything and anything that's wacky and wonderful and see what sticks and stuff. So,
fuck, I'm going to have to write all these down. We're flying in thick and fast. I love it. Season of development. Mate, I'll stick with you for a second, Ubiquitous, and just say, look, are there any TBC or Wrath abilities or any abilities of your own making that you would love to see eventually introduced to Season of Discovery for rogues?
I'm not too sure. Like, I feel like we've kind of got the best of it. You wouldn't take tricks. I think I heard in the Warlock call that like threat is a vanilla mechanic that should be respected. I think tricks would make too many fights a gimmick. I feel like maybe just for the combat bros, I'd say I reckon they'd have fun with killing spree, but it can get them killed half the time. But I feel like assassination, getting mutilate and venom has really given daggers an extra, because we'll still be able to play backstab build, which seems perfectly viable. So now you've got a choice of 3 DPS specs at level 25. So personally, I'm pretty happy with what we've got, and I am excited to see what will come. Whether it's capped at Wrath or later, I pondered whether they would ever throw us a rune that maybe makes Blade Flurry toggleable like it is in Kata, and you just permanently have cleave at the cost of attack speed to keep it in check. That could be a way in which we could handle AoE threat a bit better. But yeah, maybe that would be it. That would probably be the best thing that they could give us, but that might be insanely broken in vanilla.
Mate, really interesting introduction there from Chris in YouTube chat. Sorry, I'll throw it to you in 1 second, Mike, just to finish up on this one, Ubiquitous. Because, mate, I've been asking everyone, when you forecast down the road for what you think might come from other expansions, I've also been saying, if you had to bet the house on one, if you're a gambling man, you fucking put the $1 million on something that you absolutely know is coming eventually. What would it be? But you seem like you're not quite sure. But Chris is throwing in, mate. What about, would you bet the house on Cloak of Shadows coming?
Would I like it if they did? Sure. Do I think they will? Possibly not, because that is just the next level of avoidance in vanilla. Like, we're getting a teleport behind your target from stealth. If we get Cloak as well and a ranged kidney stun, I think Rogue would just be too much of a nuisance out in the world. But I'm not 100% over what everyone else has got. Maybe everyone else has disengage and get away from me mechanics now. But I think Cloak in vanilla would be pretty insane, even in a PvE aspect. The amount of shit it gets us out of in Ulduar and ICC is just ridiculous.
Well, Mike, sorry, just to throw it over to Mike, the tanking aspect of Cloak of Shadows is actually a rather interesting one, where I know he's being tongue-in-cheek, but he's saying, what about for the tank spell defense?
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe they could take the style of Cloak of Shadows and they could flavor it as like a rune, just like in some way that it's just like if you're about to like a boss that normally just does like melee damage and then is about to like unleash a big magic attack, and then you could pop this to not die as a rogue tank. That'd be cool. I'd love to have Cloak of Shadows personally.
I'll ask you the same question, Mike, carrying on from what Ubiquitous said. Like, what future expansions abilities do you think would work well in Season of Discovery, or that you could forecast coming later down the track for us?
I really want I want an unfair advantage style ability. Just when you dodge, you get to strike back. I think that's just super in flavor with the rogue. I want something with that to help me keep threat on multiple targets. I think it's like a slam dunk easy way to help rogues with like AoE, but not AoE threat, because it's not an AoE ability, but helps you hit multiple mobs.
They might have to increase its cooldown to more than 1 second. It could be pretty crazy.
Oh, come on. I don't know, just make it, okay, how about this? Just make it not do a lot of damage, but generate a lot of threat. I think that's how you fix it from being like a broken like farming ability.
Yeah, that could work. Just
maybe it does like 10% weapon damage, but like does massive increase of threat. I think there's workarounds for it. I think focused attacks is a really cool, really fun passive for rogues. Just like when you get energy. Just having more energy to press your buttons more, I think is just a lot of fun that they could do. These are just passives. So it's like, like how people are always worried about, making things too busy if we're adding too many runes. These are just things that you just put on. It makes your class more fun to play, and you don't have to press more buttons.
Let me head over to the PvP side of things. Ubiquitous, mate. I wish I was better at rogue PvP. I'm such a fucking idiot. I just can't figure it out. But maybe one day I will. Mate, do you dabble in a lot of rogue PvP? It sounds like.
I do in classic, where it's kind of a bit more slowed down. I'm not particularly great at rogue in TBC or Wrath Arena, but I've never really given it a practice. But yeah, in vanilla, I mean, I'm definitely not a world-class streamer when it comes to it, but it's not particularly hard to PvP as a rogue.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a
even
fucking
if you're
idiot.
bad, you can just run away quite easily.
Oh, and I do on a regular basis. No, I'm just. It's a stupid thing with me. I can't figure out all the fucking lining up all the stuns and I go in cheap shot, then I fucking kidney shot, and then the kidney shot runs out, and I kind of go, what next? And I know you got the blinds and everything, but I don't know. Fucking anyway. What I'm getting at is. Every class, and I joked about this yesterday, every class is kind of doing the fucking like good luck beating me in Season of Discovery, you fuckwits, maneuver. The Druid said it, the Paladin said it, who else said it? The Warlock said it. Well, they didn't say it, but I'm saying it for them. The fucking tank Warlocks are saying it. Are the Rogues saying the same thing? Do you feel like, you fucking got everyone covered?
Well, there's a few streamers they're just vanilla masters of Rogue, and when you watch them play, I feel like they could almost just get vanilla Rogue against some of these Season of Discovery classes, and they'd probably still give them a good run for their money. Outside of mages and warlocks, like those three are pretty hefty 1v1.
Oh, that's the matchup we need to organise. PS Hero in vanilla spec versus SOD specs.
Yeah, I think he would probably do all right against a few people, but he's the very tippity top of 10 million hours of ganking people in Blackrock Mountain. I think like Shadow Strike is cool and exciting, but I generally think Between the Eyes is the biggest difference maker, because you've given rogues a 20-yard 6-second stun, and it's not particularly expensive. It's a little bit more expensive than Kidney Shot. They share a cooldown, but the amount of times that you could be 6 yards away from getting a gouge off on your target or the kidney itself, and now you can get the stun off before you would potentially get polyed or feed again or something like that. I think it's a whole new wheelhouse. Rogues have never been able to just, not in the first 3 expansions, stun people from 20 yards away. So it'll have a lot of interesting interactions. Whether I don't, 6 seconds isn't enough to re-stealth, if I remember correctly, without taking damage or anything. So no, that's probably the biggest thing. I know other classes have gotten 3 or 4 exciting things for PvP, but that's probably because they didn't already have as many cool things as what rogues have. If we got Cloak, Shadow Step, and Between the Eyes, it would just be like TBC Rogue in vanilla.
Mike, how about you? Do you sort of look at it and feel I know you're foregoing PvP this time around for Season of Discovery, but for when you do muck around with it, do you feel supremely confident as a rogue given what you've got, or are you actually a little wary of the other classes given what they got?
A little wary given what they got, but Shiv I actually think is a super underrated ability for PvP with a rogue now, because a part of vanilla PvP for me is just keeping deadly poison up. Keep that fucking deadly poison up on them. They can't get away from you, or you need to kite them, and just having Shiv now to just instantly go bam, deadly poison. Sorry, not deadly, crippling poison. Crippling poison. Sorry, not deadly poison. Crippling poison is now instantly on my target. All right, we're good. I think it's a huge thing for rogues in PvP. Shiv is super underrated, and the good rogues, you'll be seeing them using it all the time to keep up crippling poison in PvP.
Very good, very good. All right, lads. Well, look, now I get to a bit more of the freeform fucking wrapping part of the conversation. What have we forgotten about? What topics do we absolutely just have to discuss, or the rogues will kill us? Is there anything we've left on the table?
For the first time, I went to the WoW official forums, and it will be the last time I ever go to such a place.
They're terrible.
Experience.
They're terrible, aren't they?
But the pressing issue for me at the moment is rogue poisons just fall off when you fight anything for like 2 minutes, because we're going back to them having charges. It's not a buff duration. So I think Sarth at BlizzCon fighting the turtle boss, his poisons ran out after about 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Right.
And then he just has to stand there and do a 3-second cast to re-equip it to his weapon. Some people think that that's just authentic vanilla gameplay, but in my mind, it just doesn't sit well that you've got this rogue fast attacking, and then it's just, wait a sec, guys, I've got to put my fucking green jam back on my dagger before I keep fighting things. It's just a bit like, I don't know how, like, whether we just want to increase the charges, because in Classic, as long as you rearmed your weapons before a boss, you wouldn't run out of charges during that boss. That was pretty much it. Straight E8 180. But if you're playing the Envenom spec, you will fly through the charges now, and potentially, and it's a 3-second cast each weapon. So that's a little bit of an ugly interaction with an old game mechanic in the poisons having charges. I just thought I would mention that, and just I don't know if it's the avenue of all the chats have gone, but just another little tiny min-max avenue is I'm unsure if Cat Wind Fury interacts the same as Totem Wind Fury, because I think the Cat Wind Fury is a party buff and it doesn't take up an enchant or like a weapon application. So in vanilla, you wouldn't put any poison on your main hand as a Horde Rogue because you wanted Wind Fury to be applied to your main hand. But now with a cat, you can put poisons on both. But I haven't actually found any video proof yet from BlizzCon showing that you can, like, is Cat Wind Fury going to be better because now I can put instant poison on my main hand, or will they change Shaman Totem to not apply to your weapon in that same manner? It'll just go to being a party buff. So those are two things I thought I'd mention because no one anywhere seems to have an answer for me.
No, well said. I'm glad you raised that. We did bring up the poison thing. I think it's a really super important thing to double down on. We brought it up when we were discussing either Shaman or Paladins, because we were talking about little quality of life things, and we were having the exact same discussion going, is it going to be compatible with the theme of what they want to do with this season? You know, is it vanilla? Is it Wrath? Is it something else? What are we doing here in terms of quality of life? Because people keep pointing to the 5-minute, pally buffs or the 5-minute rockbiter weapon or whatever it might be. And then also you point straight to the poison charges and go, well, what the fuck are we going to do with that? Mike, I'd love to hear your take on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely garbage gameplay for people using Envenom as a rogue. If they leave charges on the poisons the way they are right now, it will just in long fights it will just completely gimp a rogue's DPS, and I don't think that's what they want. Like we said many times now, Josh, the classic devs are smart. We have faith in them. I think has to be all but a given at this point that they're just either going to get rid of the charges on poisons, or they're going to make it like that Envenom doesn't consume the charges when you're using it. Maybe is another way you could do it. Somehow, I think they just need to get rid of the charges on poisons, though. That's probably one of the most pressing things that hasn't been addressed yet. So, and then also sticky combo points, please, for the love of God.
I'll bring in this one from the crowd. Ubiquitous quick draw. I don't think we did mention it. Isadai is saying that just the concept of my ranged weapon mattering, made them start swooning about the correlation with like the Legion Outlaw Rogue. Does quick draw, like, it's a pretty cool ranged hamstring kind of thing?
Yeah, it's another it's just another PvP orientated rune. At least I see it that way. It's definitely the best one in that what's that on chest runes. It's the best in that category for PvP, unless you're going for dagger PvP and you want to have cheaper backstabs and ambush, because the other ones are tanking 1, and Deadly Brew putting on Deadly Poison will just ruin all your blinds and gouges, so you would never use that in PvP. It's just another thing in the toolkit. And on a 10-second cooldown, and the fact that it's not a spender either, or it awards you a combo point, is just nice. As to not much more to say, because you're going to have tripling on your target because of Shiv if you're trying hard on PvP anyway. So no, it's pretty cool.
Mates, we are rounding things up. Don't worry. I know you've got to duck off in 10 minutes anyway, but just to get this last one out to you maybe before we start to wrap this up, just on the daggers thing, and again, like, you know, we know we are getting new items, new weapons in the game. Some loot tables are going to be rather interesting to see what's coming. Are you intrigued by, you know, dagger rogues getting some love through the leveling process with new weapons that they never really had that much spice with before?
Surprisingly, there seems to be pretty good dagger progression in the game as it is, but I guess now it's a case of you're going to want 2 slow ones, and there might not be that many. So a few more in game would probably be nice, because it is such a niche thing where it's either good or it's terrible. But if it would be very rogue if everyone just had the level as swords predominantly, because that's what we've done forever. You don't really level with daggers, and me personally, I'm all right with not having 4 viable leveling specs between like dagger combat, sword combat, mutilate assassination, and just sub. Sub's pretty popular for leveling for people that just like to use hemo. So I'm not too phased if they do decide, you know what, you can't have 4 ways to level. Here's 3 instead.
Mike, how do you feel about it?
I think it's great. I think daggers will be perfectly fine to level now that you have mutilate as an option, because the only real problem with daggers leveling as a rogue was to backstab, you had to be behind the target. So if you're solo leveling, you're never going to be able to be behind the target to backstab. But mutilate now, you can just shank them. You can shank them from the front. So I think daggers will be a perfectly viable way to level as a rogue as long as you have mutilate.
It does take a special kind of dagger purist to enjoy gouging and backstabbing mobs out in the world. That's a different breed. I'm not even there.
Exactly. So it's all gonna be fun, all gonna be great. I think there's nothing crazy that Rogue has gotten added yet, but I am expecting the classic devs to add some crazy runes to Rogue at the later level bans that everyone's gonna be like, holy shit, they gave Rogues that sort of deal later down the track. But I think right now they're just trying to like give Rogue Tank the abilities they need, and a lot of these runes are for PvP if you in my opinion. So they're really just trying to give PvP rogues a lot of mix and match.
Fair enough. All right, we might start to wrap it up there, guys. Mike, thank you so much. I'm glad you've come in to bat hard for, rogue tanks initially. We've seen now, look, they're joking. They're our friends. We've seen the ribbing that rogue tanks have already been getting in the Countdown Discord, haven't we?
Yes.
Mike is on the money. If we don't get a cleave or anything, Thunder Fury does fix his threat AoE problems. So
we didn't talk about Thunder Fury. Let's quickly do Thunder Fury before we go. Mike, Thunder Fury Prio, hit me.
Yeah. I mean, I get to be like, I already wanted Thunder Fury before as a tank, but now like the proc from Thunder Fury and the speed, it will just be amazing. Because like to me, rogue tanking is going to be like what Fury Prot was in 2019 Classic. So just like Thunder Fury, unless somehow daggers just ends up being way better than swords for rogue tanking, that Thunder Fury is just going to be the fucking juiciest thing ever to give to a rogue tank.
Yeah, but you're not the GM anymore.
I'm not, but I'm still gonna put my hat in the ring for it.
Oh my god! All right, let's in all seriousness, ubiquitous. Is there an argument there for the rogue tank to get Thunder Fury?
If they are going to be your main tank, I mean, speculation, like we discussed earlier, there's plenty of holes in the tanking spec still, but I'm always a believer in that it just goes to your best and main tank. So, and if it happens to be a rogue once we get there, why not? But maybe just to piss everyone off, just give it to the Warlock.
Oh,
Demo tank.
baby, now we're talking.
I'm curious to see how it interacts with Shadow Cleave technically being a melee ability and whether it'll proc Thunder Fury for extra AoE threat or not.
They have to do it just for the drama.
I might have pitchforks out at me in the Rogue Discord after saying that.
No, bring all this season of drama. Bang. There's your last D. We did it, boys.
No. My last one was Season of Dodge. I'm going to be dodging my way through Season of Discovery, baby.
Very good. All right, we will let you go, Mike. Thank you so much for waking up early and doing this one for us.
Yeah, not a problem, Josh. I wish we could have, delved a little bit deeper into it, but I know you've just had nonstop content to go for the podcast, so I know we can't do a deep dive.
Oh, mate, let's wait and see if they bring out the pitchforks when I announce the 8-hour episode. It's going to be fucking ridiculous.
Nah, there's going to be no pitchforks, Josh, I guarantee you.
Ubiquitous, thank you so much, mate. We'll squeeze in this. You can weave this one into your goodbye. Thank you so much for being here. As Pup says, quick question: Mutilate doesn't specify needing daggers. Think they can use swords with Mutilate?
No, it's confirmed daggers only, but not from behind. You can use them from in front.
There you go.
Yeah, every tooltip of Mutilate has always said requires daggers. So if it's not there, it's assumed that it's requires daggers.
Very good. Hey, Ubiquitous, mate. It's always good to get another Aussie involved. We've claimed Mike. Mike's an Aussie as well, as far as I'm concerned. He's moved here. We've claimed him. So this was the all Aussie call. I'm glad we finished with the all Aussie call.
3 Aussies talking about rogues. Just upload this VOD upside down for the rest of the world.
Will do, mate.
Thanks for having me on. Shout out to Wherefore and Simon Eyes. They do the bulk work of pretty much every rogue in the game at the moment. And yeah, lovely being on. I look forward to listening to more episodes and getting on the hype train for Season of Discovery.
Mate, absolutely. And you fucked yourself because you were really good today, and now I have to get you back.
No worries. Message me anytime. It's better to talk about Rogue here than making my guildies ears bleed talking Rogue all the time. None of them care about it.
Too easy, mate. All right, boys, you run off. We'll catch you later. Thanks so much, lads.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Thanks, Josh.
All right. Fuck, we made it. My 9-hour marathon is complete.
It's over.
Oh my god. No, it was a lot of fun. I don't want to make it sound like it was fucking, shithouse work. It was a lot of fun.
That's good.
Oh,
that's good.
Seriously though, oh my god, posting that 8-hour episode. And I know everyone's going to write in and be like, mate, thank you so much. You saved my work day. I had it on all Tuesday at work. It was great. But the problem is not that I fucking care, but everyone who doesn't know the show, I'll put it on Reddit and not everyone, 1 or 2 people will be like, are you fucking kidding, dickhead? Who the fuck do you think is going to listen to an 8-hour podcast?
Considering people listen to 24-hour podcasts,
yeah,
just
quietly. Countdown has been getting longer and longer over the last few months, and just sneakily and quietly, I've noticed some other World of Warcraft Classic podcasts extending their durations in suit as well.
You're the trendsetter, Josh.
Oh, I'll claim it. But no, yeah, mate, I will have to line something up with Rogue, I think. Look, I'm all Warriors locked in as main. I need the Shaman because I want a healer. I do want to dick around with the Hunter and the Rogue are the sort of switchable ones where I'm like, which one am I doing? I guess I just do both.
Yeah, I should have maybe slightly mentioned this on the Rogue call, and you can add this in later if you really want to. The way stuff is looking right now, all credit to Simon Eyes, that this may be the season where you, as a DPS rogue, you don't have to sit there and keep up slice and dice the whole time. It the way it looks right now, 25 anyway. We don't know what they're gonna add, but right now it seems to be you just hit mutilate and just in 5 combo points you just press Envenom, and that'll be the bulk of your rotation as a dagger rogue, or just as a combat rogue. You saber slash till you get 3 stacks, hit Sinister Strike, and then you could just pick what you could actually use Envenom as a combat rogue still.
Oh, I forgot to mention Saber Slash. Like, who is that? Who is that replacing Sinister Strike for? What kind of rogue?
It doesn't replace Sinister Strike. It's added. It's just
Yeah.
But
wouldn't you be hitting it instead of Sinister Strike, or is it like Rake with Druid, where like you'd rake once and then go back to Claw?
Yes, so it's like Rake then. So yeah, you'd open with Saber Slash, because the way it works is it puts a bleed that stacks up to 3 times. So you'll Saber Slash, get the stack to 3 times, be hitting Sinister Strike. Then right as Saber Slash, right as the bleed's about to fall off, you hit Saber Slash again. So it'll be like Saber Slash to 3, Sinister Strike, do your finisher, Saber Slash again to keep it up, back to Sinister Strike, do your finisher. So I think it'll actually be easier to play daggers the way it is right now.
Oh, the one question I forgot to ask. I was going to say, with the emphasis on world PvP that we're getting, well, not the emphasis, but you know what I mean. World PvP is going to be a big part of SOD, it seems. How much more important do you think stealth becomes?
Stealth has always been important, and I think with stuff like Shadow Strike, if you're gonna have something like that, I think it'll be even more important.
But I mean, think about like just general like getting around Ashenvale. If for some reason you're not in the mood or you want to get to BFD.
Yeah, stealth will be huge. Yeah, if you want to get around the world unmolested, stealth will be huge.
Because like I said, I really think this will be Season of Dickheads. I think it'll be a bloodbath, and stealth could be like really, really, really valuable.
Yeah, if you're playing on a PvP server, as a rogue and a druid with your stealth, you'll just be like, oh look, there's a group of 20 alliance camping the entrance of BFD. I'm gonna sneak around you guys.
I've really got to get out of the habit of living in stealth as a rogue, though. Like, I spend way too much time in it. It takes me twice as long to do anything in game. I never get fucking anything done on my rogue because I'm just constantly paranoid, as opposed to like having the confidence to walk around out of stealth and just pop it at the last second when needed.
Oh, sure. Oh, like yeah. You like, so you have the case of you're watching your back too much.
Yeah, and so I'm like stalking people from 300 yards away in stealth, going, "Don't worry, I'll catch up to you in 6 minutes' time."
Yeah, so I mean, the ideal leveling as a rogue, just like if you're not watching your back at all, you're almost never using stealth because like you're just, ooh, I'm a sword rogue. I'm just gonna. You're literally just a warrior in leather. As when you're leveling, ideally leveling as a rogue by yourself, you're just running at mobs and just meleeing them and just keeping that going. Stealth is not very useful for just leveling as a rogue unless you're worried about PvP or trying to sneak around mobs.
Oh, I'm worried about PvP. I'm thinking of being controversial. I mean, obviously, given honor points will be a big part of the season. I'm wondering if I need to, also for mental health reasons, if I need to ditch my PvP rules.
For at least for like Ashenvale and shit like that, for your mental health reasons, you probably will. I expect this season to be Season of Dickheads squared.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see such egregious bullshit that people are gonna do, that like it's gonna make you're gonna lose your mind, Josh. It's gonna make your blood turn into lava.
Yeah. This will not be the season to yell at people for not fighting me one-on-one in a fair fight.
Yep. Which is why I'm going to a PvE server.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, mate. Look, I might let you go. I'm fucking buggered, so I might go chill out for the rest of the day.
Enjoy the rest.
What do you got on for the rest of the day?
Not too much. Probably just hanging out with Alenia.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just talking to Josh. He's just asking what I'm gonna do on the rest of the day.
Say hi for me.
Josh is hi.
And
Sorry.
You're right.
I was just talking to Alenia. You were saying?
I was just going to say, look, I'll leave you to it, mate. You go fucking do your Sunday thing, and lots of love to you two, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely. I mean, I want to dive deeper into rogues. I think, if I like really like, sit down and just like put all my thoughts onto paper or into a document. I think there'll be a lot to talk there about Rogue Tank.
Oh, as once the server launches for sure, I'll be dying to see how it fucking feels, and then we'll do more chats about it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for me because I haven't played a tank in like 10 years. So.
Oh wow, that will be fun. We'll have to watch your progress.
Yeah.
All right, mate. I'll catch you later.
All right. See you, Josh.
All right, YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Look, that's the end of the 3 hours. That's the end of all the classes. This has been a marathon over the last 3 days. Guys, just to answer a couple of frequently asked questions about this content that I'm doing here. Number one, yes, everything that you've just heard over the last 3 days will be published on the podcast feed. So, guys, if you don't know who the fuck I am, that's understandable. I am a podcaster first and foremost. So like if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you fucking get podcasts, that's where all of my work goes. I don't do everything on YouTube. I don't stream like gameplay that often, although I will stream Season of Discovery. Podcasting is where I'm at. So if you hit the link in the details down here, you'll see 2 links. You'll see a link to my Spotify feed, which is where you get, all the chatter that you'd be looking for about Season of Discovery and also, Wrath or whatever you're doing with Classic. And also you'll see the Discord link there. So the Discord is the one that you've seen me stream on these calls with the town halls that everyone's chatting away live in and talking about, look, everyone's super mature. We're a different kind of WoW Discord. We're super mature, super polite. No dickheads. We don't fuck around. We're just adults and we talk about WoW Classic and we love it. So join if you're interested in that. Otherwise, guys, the podcast will be published, I would want to say Monday morning US time. So, when you wake up on Monday morning, hopefully keep an eye out for that one and download it. That'd be great. That'll help me out a lot. It'll be an 8-hour episode with all the class talks combined that we've recorded over the last 3 days. So if you missed one, catch it on the podcast. Otherwise, the VODs are right there for you. I think that's about it, guys. Look, I'll catch you. I'll probably take a few days off, to be honest with you. And I'll think of the next bit of content. We'll do one more episode after this one before launch as well. So keep an eye out for that. Love you all. Have a great weekend. See you guys.